Pod Mortem would like to thank Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Original Cinematic is an independent production company that has made it their mission to create, produce, and promote films that are inclusive, honor women, promote the LGBTQIA+ community, and provide prominent positions and roles to POC actors and filmmakers, and promote the films of marginalized and underrepresented populations. These are all things that are extremely important to our podcast as well.
Original Cinematic is currently accepting scripts and treatments. Both William and Xxena Rush are available via email or Zoom to discuss writing and provide input and resources to all aspiring writers, free of charge. Their information will be made available in the show notes. There may be delays due to a hectic schedule and all projects being read on a first-come, first-served basis, but everything will be read and responded to. William Rush has individually produced numerous projects, including Pack is Here, Before, The Cottage, The Winemaker, and Day by Day. Their multi-award-winning film Group premiered and was celebrated at multiple film festivals as well as screenings, both in person and via Zoom, that were made graciously available to us and our patrons.
Original Cinematic has many exciting projects on the horizon. Their next film, Immersion, has been completed. The award-winning Sweetener is in development, Fetish begins shooting in September, and Encore will begin next spring. Their documentary Women in Conversation is slated for a September release, and we are looking forward to each and every one of them. It is truly an honor to partner with Original Cinematic, and we can't thank them enough for their contribution to our show. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Travis Hunter-Sayapin, joined as always by my co-hosts, my sister and my brother-in-law.
Hi, I'm Reneé Hunter-Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from a precarious cliff, discussing the 1993 psychological thriller, The Good Son. This film was directed by Joseph Ruben from a screenplay by Ian McEwan. Seeking to tell a tale of evil with children at its center, The Good Son trades standard supernatural fare for an unsettling story of burgeoning psychopathy. With its scenic settings, compelling characters, and a few suspenseful set pieces, this film would not only overcome a difficult production, but also defy its poor critical reception to become a nostalgic favorite for many fans of the genre. This film was suggested to us by friends of the show, J. Rex, Felnez63, Brigitte Garza, Eggy, Megan M., TJ Bronson, Scarly D., Beth Bauer, Jay, Moonflower94, Topher Williams, and Melissa B. We'd like to thank each and every one of them for their continued support of the show, as well as this suggestion. So, The Good Son. What were your first impressions on the film?
I remember that I watched this as a kid with my older brother in the theater, and that was it. I remember watching it the one time and I was like, wow, that was crazy. You know what I mean? Again, I was small.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're covering it, so I get to watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
So watching it for the show as a 41-year-old man, I don't think I got as much enjoyment as I did out of like what was this, 93? Or
Yeah,
what, right?
93.
So what, a 10-year-old, something like that?
Yeah.
I don't think I got as much enjoyment out of it as I did then. There were things I did still kind of enjoy about the movie, but I think that, kind of watching it for what it is, it's a decent movie. It's okay. I think just kind of experiencing it for the first time and then, you know what I mean? It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Elijah Wood is great.
That
Yes.
part.
Elijah Wood is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He's the good son.
He is.
He is, yes.
So the title is about him. I thought it was an ironic thing going on.
Well, only one of them, the title only fits to one of them.
That's fair.
Yeah, I had never seen this before, and I was really excited to because it is highly recommended. It's not that I disliked it. I think that I would have liked it a whole lot more if I had seen it maybe when around the age you were when you saw it. Like if I was these kids' age, I would have been like, holy fuck. Like, I think it would have hit that much harder.
Yeah.
And you were.
And I think it did help for me to enjoy it still.
Yeah.
But again, I watched it the once and I remembered it and just kind of like, because that was my memory too.
Yeah.
Fuck, I enjoyed that a lot when I was, you know what I mean? The first time I watched it, but I was also a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then watching it now, it was like, oh, okay, I can pay attention and understand things a lot better.
I think that experiencing it for the first time as an adult, the adults in the film are extremely frustrating. It moves very quickly.
Yeah.
There are aspects that I think would have been more effective if we could kind of let them marinate for a little bit longer or draw them out or explore them a little bit further.
Yeah.
But the pacing, it goes really, really fast. It escalates really, really fast. Like, I would have loved... I think the story that's being told here is more conducive to like a slow burn kind of a thing, or maybe a little bit of misdirection, because you kind of know exactly what's going on immediately.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then it ramps up by scene, and then it ultimately comes, I don't want to say anticlimactic, because the ending is not anticlimactic. It's climactic.
Yeah, it's
pretty
wild.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
But I think that it's you walk away kind of astonished that you saw what you just saw.
Yes.
And then when you unpack it, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that's kind of the ending that we've been going toward this whole time. It's been foreshadowed. I don't know. There's just something about it that I think it just left me wanting a little bit more in terms of characterization, in terms of the way they interact with each other, just maybe slowing down a little bit and letting things slowly unfold. It would have been more shocking. I think that that's my problem with it, because it is like breakneck speed.
Yeah.
And the escalation is just like, all right.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, kid. Goddamn.
Well, I mean, it's what, 82 minutes and then the credits start?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe 5-10 more minutes to really let some moments breathe, like you
Yes.
said.
Yes.
It would really benefit the film. And I think a lot of films like this of the same ilk, like The Bad Seed, or maybe even Orphan in its own way, I feel like they are a little bit longer, and they do let these moments kind of marinate, because it's a wild thing that's happening
Yeah.
here.
I think that I think like Creepy Kids or Bad Kids or whatever like this subgenre would be, it is so successful and so effective because children are inherently so innocent, and it is your instinct to protect them from the things that the kids are doing in these films. And so it is like this cognitive dissonance almost of like, no, but you're a kid. Like, I'm supposed to be protecting you from this, and you're the one trying to do it to me or trying to do it to other kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think when you're telling a story like that, we don't need to speed run it.
Yeah. No, yeah.
We do need more time, maybe even establishing a childlike quality in the child that we're going to be afraid of.
Well, it does hurt the film because when we're trying to get through it so quick, some things have to suffer or get taken out because of that.
Yes.
And it does hurt certain characters, a lot of them. And it's just like, oh, you're here just to be here.
Yeah. And I mean, this film is mostly the kids
Yeah.
running around. And baby Elijah Wood is fucking acting his ass off.
Yes.
But it's like, watching it as an adult, the adults really did piss me off.
Yeah.
Pretty much the entire film.
Yes. I was just like Nay, where this was a first time watch for me too.
Yeah.
I just to echo what you've both said, I know a lot of people grew up with this film, and I can imagine how powerful that nostalgia must be for a film like this.
For sure.
But for me, unfortunately, it just wasn't there. I don't want it to seem like this film was bad by any means.
Right.
It's not.
Because
Yeah,
it's
not.
I think that there are some really good moments of suspense, especially when you're really putting yourself in the position of Elijah Wood's character.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
What you're in the middle of and what you're having to deal with, and this feeling of just being isolated.
Yeah.
Right.
And what you've already been through.
Yes.
Like, it's a lot.
So I think that is the real horror of this film, of course, is what happens to Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
And I think that he is fantastic, as we've said. It is wild to me to consider that in just 5 years he's in the faculty.
I needed a minute to even process that when you said that earlier, because this is a little baby.
Yeah.
It is, but kids, they grow.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
It
That's
happens.
insane.
But I really want to commend the cinematography of this film.
Okay.
There are some beautiful scenic shots in this film of a lot of different places that I was just awestruck.
Yeah.
That is one thing watching it, and I told your sister, I said, and the cameraman's working overtime.
Oh, yeah.
And he was.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the places that they go to, it's kind of wild. They filmed this in like 5 different places in the United States, and you wouldn't even really...
Yeah, no.
But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But I liked... For the most part, the score, I feel like it's a little hit or miss because it's oddly placed sometimes.
It's
Yes,
that for
yes,
me. There are
yes.
moments where the music is very uplifting and nothing uplifting is
It's whimsical.
It's like, this
It's
is
like,
terrifying. But like you had said, it's really just about that pacing. I think that I want more time. I want to spend more time with these characters, and there are dynamics that are presented that I think are really surface level.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to dive a little bit deeper, especially for how much you do start to relate to Elijah Wood's character. There's just not enough there to kind of buy into some of the things that are happening.
Right.
Or some of the things that he starts to perceive and believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Well, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
too. I want to say, I think I can speak for all of us when I say all the love in the world to Macaulay Culkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do not think that he is right for this film. And I don't think that on the basis of performance completely.
Right.
I think that it comes off as gimmicky instead of being legitimately frightening.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
Because
that
it's
is
like-
very fair.
It's the kid from Home Alone.
Yeah.
And he's
bad now.
Yeah.
So I understand that from like a marketing standpoint, but it does hurt the film for me because I'm like, well, what if you had a character that you don't see as such a pop culture figure?
Yeah.
How would this film have gone if we were watching something happen and develop where it's an actor who we don't know what he's like?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it just kind of hurt it for me, and it didn't end up as scary as it could have been if it had been somebody else.
No, I agree with that because watching it, and for me, it was that because, again, Elijah Wood is fucking, like, it's
Yeah.
Elijah Wood. And I do, again, I like Macaulay, but it did feel like that. Sometimes it was like, okay, you're saying this, but I'm not believing you.
Yeah.
I will say, I can't remember what film we were talking about where we were like, oh, he's just so likable, and I love that they fucking turned it on its head. I can't remember what film we were talking about.
Yeah.
But it's like, if they would have done something like that and really like subvert our expectation where we're like, oh my God, like he's so cute, and Elijah Wood is like this troubled little boy coming into this family, and then it flips. Not trying to give anything away.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what I mean? You could use that kind of iconic
Expectation?
status that Macaulay Culkin already had.
Right.
Take that expectation and fucking pull the rug out from under the audience.
Right.
But I think that it just, everything happens so fast, and it's like upon meeting this kid, it's like, you're gonna be a problem.
Yes, yeah.
It's a little cartoony. But before we dive into this film, I do want to talk about the production of it.
Okay.
I got a lot of really good information from various sources that I will cite right now and reference plenty later. But these sources include articles in AFI, the American Film Institute, not Davey Havok and the Boys.
Aw.
Maybe next time. The Los Angeles Times, The Independent, The New York Times, and Bloody Disgusting.
Okay.
So the story of The Good Son actually begins in 1986.
Damn.
This is when producer Lawrence Mark at 20th Century Fox commissions English novelist Ian McEwan to write a screenplay, quote, about evil possibly concerning children. The only guidance given for this assignment is that it would take place in the real world with a psychological bend rather than delving into the supernatural.
Okay.
And according to McEwan, the purpose was to create a, quote, low-budget, high-class film with Fox stating to him that they didn't expect to make a lot of money off of it.
What?
So it seemed very much like it was going to be story, narrative, and character driven.
Yeah.
I am kind of I know, like, obviously they wanted to keep the budget low, but I'm astonished that on the offset, they're like, we're probably not going to make a lot of money, and they're still wanting to do
Going
it.
forward with that.
Yeah.
I will say, I've only heard from Ian McEwan.
Okay.
Fox is probably like, we want to make
Yeah.
$1 billion. So who knows? But McEwan pins the script without issue. And once it's complete, the producers love it. But the executives don't. Their disappointment, which they relayed to McEwan, is that he didn't write them the next Omen. Even though they explicitly told him they don't want anything.
Supernatural.
Yeah. So
What the fuck?
Fox shelves it, and it sits around for a few years unproduced.
Okay.
It then gets kicked around to Quantum Pictures, an independent subsidiary of Universal, in the late 1980s. After it arrives on the desk of producer Mary Ann Page, she actually received it as a writing sample. And so she's reading through it, and she's like, writing sample? We should be making this.
Yeah.
And so she champions this project, and they work on it for 3.5 years, sinking a chunk of money into it for rewrites, location scouting, and even casting, only for the executives to eventually pass on the project entirely.
Wow.
What the fuck?
And I honestly don't even know why they even had a director attached.
Yeah.
A guy called Brian Gilbert. I haven't seen anything that he's made, unfortunately, but once the script falls back into this limbo, he also leaves the project, and so the script really doesn't have a home, and it doesn't have any plans for it either.
Yeah.
So it isn't until 1991 when, according to Page, the box office and critical successes of Home Alone and The Silence of the Lambs provide two very important lessons to the studios. One, adults will flock to a film starring children. And two, an extreme thriller, quote unquote, can be profitable.
Can't we just say horror?
Yep.
I know.
Just say horror.
They're so afraid of it. It's so weird.
God damn.
And I will say these are her words where it's like these two movies prove that.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm sure that there were plenty of films previously.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I guess maybe not to this level.
Right.
Because I think Home Alone made $500 million and Silence of the Lambs made $250 million.
Damn.
And so the profitability is kind of wild at this
Right,
point.
right.
But this is when the film returns home to 20th Century Fox, and they decide to go all in on the project.
I'd be like,
I know.
fuck off my script.
But Michael Lehman, the director of Heathers, he's brought in to helm the project, and Lawrence Mark, who was initially attached in the late 80s, signs on as a co-producer, bringing in Ian McEwan for more rewrites. By November 1991, everything is going swimmingly. They're building sets in Maine. They've got 70 people on payroll. $4 million of their budget is already spent. And 2 unknown actors are cast in the lead roles.
Okay.
They are just a few weeks away from principal photography.
I'm like bracing myself.
I know. I was like, I'm waiting because.
In walks Kit Culkin, father of Macaulay Culkin, and referred to in the Los Angeles Times as the stage father from hell.
Oof.
More like shit, Culkin,
Yeah,
right, guys?
Yes. And you will soon learn.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Apparently, the script had been sent to Kit Culkin over a year ago, but he didn't get around to reading it until now. And once he reads it, he decides that Macaulay Culkin would be perfect for the role of the film's villain. He said it would be an opportunity to show Macaulay Culkin's range and make him a more versatile actor. That was his intention. So at the behest of the studio, Lehman meets with Macaulay Culkin, and after a discussion and a few read-throughs of the script, he simply did not think that Macaulay Culkin was the right person for the part, and he told the producers so.
Yeah.
But Kit Culkin decides to go over his head to the executives at Fox, and after using the fact that Home Alone's $500 million box office saved Fox from financial ruin,
There it is.
he uses this as leverage, and he tells them, either Macaulay Culkin stars in The Good Son, or we are not signing the contract for Home Alone 2.
Wow.
Ultimatum.
That's so gross.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So the executives at Fox caved immediately.
Of course they did.
Well,
And they told him, we always wanted Macaulay Culkin in the role. The role that had been cast.
yeah.
But they approve Macaulay Culkin for both films, Home Alone 2 and The Good Son. The problem is that the production of Home Alone 2 conflicts directly with the already set schedule of The Good Son.
Oh, wow.
So this, again, The Good Son is supposed to start production in just a few weeks.
Right.
So realizing that the casting of Culkin would force the production to delay for an entire year,
Oh my God.
Lehman and Mark personally go to Kit Culkin's house to persuade him to reconsider.
Can what they do? Jump him?
Well, whatever they did, it didn't work.
He beat them both up.
Yes,
Fuck
he
outta here.
kicked both their asses. No, he was told, and this is a direct quote from Lehman.
Okay.
Look, we've hired 70 people. If you go through with this, they'll be out of work around Christmas time. I have personally sunk 9 months of my creative life into this. John Hughes got involved as well,
What?
promising Kit Culkin that he would personally find him other roles for Macaulay Culkin to show the range that he was looking for.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, Kit does not budge. He compares Macaulay Culkin to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he tells the director and the producers that with a star of this caliber, you shut down production and you wait for them to be free.
I love Macaulay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that he has that much like faith in his son. But Arnold is wild, bro.
Arnold is wild.
Yeah, that-
it's commodification. I don't even think it's faith. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
it's so gross. It makes me wonder what Macaulay wanted.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
fucking kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as a parent, it's like if I'm like, oh, I really want one of my kids to do this or whatever, a team, anything. And somebody's like, they're just not right for this. I'm going to be like, okay, we'll do something else. Like something will fit. You're already doing fucking Home Alone
Yeah.
2.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
And I'm
Something
sorry.
else will fit. I don't want this to come out and people make fun of you or
Right,
people
right.
or you
Yeah.
not feel comfortable or like, dude, that is so fucking gross. Not only did you strong arm him into this production, but now you're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To that's
70 people losing their jobs around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And you know this.
Yeah.
And
I'm
fucking
seething.
John Hughes visited you personally and said, I will find
it's
roles.
That.
If you
It's
want
that.
roles.
Don't put me in that Lion King live and then just fucking let me do that.
Yeah, no, this is a fucking like ego trip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like a power play. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is crazy.
But wait, they did.
Of course they did.
Lehman was given the option to wait for the whole year and stay on as director, but feeling disrespected with absolutely no support from the studio, he left the project.
Good for him.
Yeah.
They replaced him with director Joseph Ruben, who was only approved after Kit Culkin saw samples of his work and gave the studio the go-ahead.
What the hell is going on?
I know. Well,
It's wild.
yeah.
What the hell is going on?
It's okay. So I get why the movie's fast. Let's get this over with.
I guess.
Yeah.
starts
We got
to,
other
you know.
shit to do.
But the budget nearly doubled at this point because of the time that they had to wait, and including the $2.5 million salary that Kit Culkin secured for Macaulay Culkin. The intentions of the film also shifted with having such a bankable star at the forefront. So with this new director, Ruben, he brings back the screenwriter, McEwen, to continue doing some rewrites, but Ruben then takes it upon himself to start cutting subplots, simplifying characterizations and aspects of the narrative so that they can make the film more palatable to a wider audience.
And you feel
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
feel
do.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But he then outright starts ignoring McEwen's suggestions, and he even brings in his friend and screenwriter David Lowery to doctor McEwen's script. Lowery would later try to get a co-writer credit, but McEwen fought against it and won.
Good for him. Because
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this the script that this entire thing was based off of?
Absolutely.
How good this script was. We have to make this
Yeah.
movie. The same thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, got it.
But McEwen ends up being the sole screenwriter for the film,
Okay.
though he would refuse to see it and even skipped the premiere of it. After freezing him out as they did, they had the audacity to ask him to write the tie-in novelization, and he basically told them to go fuck themselves.
Oh my God, yeah.
But of his time in Hollywood, McEwen said, "It was an opportunity to fly first class, be treated like a celebrity, sit around the pool, and be betrayed."
Oh,
Wow.
But the film was released to moderate box office success, obviously nothing compared to Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
It made $60 million on a budget that was estimated between $17 and $28 million. I know that's a large discrepancy.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know why. But the critics were not kind. And most critics put the blame squarely on the casting of Macaulay Culkin
see,
as to why the film didn't work.
and now your child has to
Exactly.
shoulder that.
Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
fucking. My blood is boiling.
And Macaulay Culkin is blameless.
Blameless.
Yeah, he didn't
beyond
do that.
blameless.
It is Kit Culkin, or as we believe, Shit Culkin.
Shit Culkin.
Yes.
Now, before we spend a couple of weeks with this film, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's head out on the highway. So the film begins with a peaceful piano in the score, which accompanies the opening credits. Strings swell sweetly as we get the title, white text against a black background, The Good Son. The style of the text felt very family comedy to me.
Yes.
And I didn't know if they were trying to make it feel almost like a bait and switch.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying,
okay.
especially when you have Macaulay Culkin
Yeah.
coming off of Home Alone. They could have done something really cool here with like this slowly, this film that slowly becomes something else.
Right.
Or you slowly realize the story that they are telling, especially with this font, with everything, with the
Yeah.
music at the
Yeah.
beginning. But yeah, it's not.
No.
It's not that though.
No. And the music is very uplifting.
It is.
It's too
It is.
uplifting.
I did laugh. It swelled whenever you see the composer's name.
He's like,
That's me.
I did
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me. My first note was, what a wholesome looking movie.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that we were going to be playing with, but we're not.
No. But when we fade in properly, we're gliding up a formation of red sandstone, climbing a hill of jagged rock to reach a young boy standing atop. As the camera rises higher, arcing around him, we survey the sprawling sight beneath the sunlit sky, framed roughly in mountainous magnificence of varying shades and tones. Dust catches upon a light breeze as the young boy stands at the center of it all, and we fade to black. So this is beautiful looking.
Yeah.
This is actually the Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada.
Oh.
Okay.
So I want to go to there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think also opening it on this giant, landscape that looks very frightening, like these cliffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then this small little child, it's like it really puts you in the mind of you want to protect that kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say it is an odd place to begin,
It is.
but this is not the last we'll see of this place.
Right.
No.
And it's also strange then. But when we return from blackness, we settle on the dry, dormant grass of a large field, a soccer ball sailing across it, only to be caught by the waiting cleat of Mark Evans, played by Elijah Wood.
It's Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about him in Maniac.
Faculty.
And then, it's Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
He was in all the Lord of the Rings.
It's Elijah
It's
Wood.
Elijah Wood.
And I've most recently seen him on Yellow Jackets.
Yes, and he's fantastic.
That's right.
He's
Yes.
so
yes.
good.
I feel like he could be called a national treasure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I love this dude.
Did you see recently when he walked up to that Hobbit wedding?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
That's really
It's
cool.
adorable. And the Animal Crossing when he went to buy the turnips from somebody's island. I love him so much.
Didn't he compliment it? And
Yes.
And Middle Earth used to look fantastic before Sauron got there and fucked it up. These mountains and all that.
It's beautiful.
One positive byproduct of Kit Culkin's meddling is because of the shift in schedule. That's the only reason that we have Elijah Wood in this film.
Interesting. I mean, I hate that all that happened, but he really is great in this.
Yeah.
I read that he was so excited to meet Macaulay Culkin because of Home Alone.
Yeah.
He was super excited to meet him. And he said that whenever they weren't filming, they were just running around the woods playing.
Well, they're kids.
I was going to say, which is what you would hope,
Right.
you know?
But flanked by teammates and surrounded at the sidelines by parents and coaches, Mark crosses the field, weaving through defenders and passing the ball intermittently, only to receive it once again as he reaches the opposing team's goal box. With a swift kick, Mark sends the ball right past the goalie and into the large orange net behind him, scoring a point for his team. He cheers triumphantly, his teammates encircling him with congratulations. But through a blur of passing players, Mark notices Jack Evans, his father, played by David Morse, who approaches slowly from the distance, a small sweater clutched in his hands, and his eyes lowered forlornly in his son's direction.
It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Morse, he was in The Green Mile in 99,
Yes.
The Hurt Locker in 08, The Rock in 96. He was also in World War Z.
Your
I was going to
personal
say.
favorite? Every time I see him, I just think of The Green Mile.
Right, right.
He does well in this film, but he is so sparse in it.
Yes.
And it kind of sucks because I feel like there are a lot of moments where we could really see him more.
Yes.
Or utilize something as far
Anything.
as, yeah.
It's like, enjoy him while you have him, because
Right.
he's about to be gone for
The whole film.
Yes, yeah.
majority.
But Mark's smile disappears as he stands stoic, the game going on without him, and a somber certainty settling onto his small face. We cut abruptly to a pallid hospital hall, Jack rushing Mark down the length of it with a supportive hand on his shoulder. From his low height, Mark peers up at a passing gurney pushed by an orderly, where an uncredited elderly woman rests upon it and makes fleeting eye contact with him. Mark looks away and back up to his father, who offers his son silent support in the form of a short glance. But out from a room ahead of them steps a doctor, played by Guy Strauss, who steels himself to deliver unfortunate news to Jack. The doctor's voice grows distant over Mark's head as the boy leaves his father behind to peer through the hospital room door. Jack, I just wanted to say that she's not doing too well right now. Her condition has gotten a lot worse. As the doctor shares that he's administered medication for the pain, his voice finally disappears behind Mark, the boy's eyes widening with worry as he creeps his way inside. In the bed at the far wall rests Janice Evans, Mark's mother, played by Ashley Crowe, who sleeps silently beneath her blankets.
Ashley Crowe, she was in The Minority Report in 2002, Cake in 2014, and The Remains in 2016.
I remember her from an episode of Nip Tuck.
Okay.
But those other credits are really cool too.
But a large vase of flowers sits vibrant on the nightstand next to her, and parked at her feet is an untouched tray of hospital food. But Mark sets his sights on the chair near to her bed, taking a seat in front of her. His eyes trace Janice for a moment before he reaches over to her bedside table to retrieve a framed photograph. In it, we see the two of them together in much better times. As he seems to lose himself in a memory, Janice awakens, resting her hand on his as she calls his name sweetly. After saying their small hellos to each other, Janice asks him weakly why he didn't wake her up. Mark says that he thought it would be better for her to sleep, but Janice just smiles at her son, offering, "I'd rather see you." Mark returns her smile, touched by her words, but as Janice's gaze lingers on him, she earnestly asks if his father has told him everything. Mark nods solemnly as he confirms that he has. Janice assures Mark that she knows he'll be okay. But Mark refuses this, shaking his head as his voice croaks for his mother. But Janice, her voice merely a whisper, adds with finality, "I'll always be with you, Mark. Always." She breathes that she loves him, and through his emotions, Mark responds in kind. But as Janice closes her eyes, Mark glances back and forth between his mother's face and her hand clenched in his, piano plodding pensively in the score as confidence clutches him. The boy asserts in a whisper, "You're not gonna die, Mom. I promise." Stone certainty shining in his bright blue eyes, Mark reiterates, "You're not gonna die because I won't let you." Mark sits sadly by her side. But as solemn strings begin to swell, we now find Mark, dressed properly in a suit, standing next to Jack on a sandstone mound, an uncredited preacher offering words of comfort through scripture to them, and to the other gathered mourners with them, as he scatters Janice's ashes into the wind.
This is probably the meanest cut I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I one of those like shock laughs.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're fucking
That's
kidding.
insane.
You're not going to do this kid like that.
No.
Like, you could have put a scene in between. Like, this is crazy. But it lends itself to that fucking like speed run feeling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, we got to get the mom out of here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, move it. Like, you feel it. And it felt, like you said, like darkly comedic.
Because you're like, there's
it's
no
like, I
way.
promise.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's like smash cut to, it's like, dude,
It's like the
y'all
beginning.
did not need to do it like
It's
that.
like the
No.
opening of a Sunny episode.
Yes. Yes.
It is a punch in the gut because you're, like you said, you're sitting there watching him, you know, talking to his mom. She's sick. And then it cuts right to that. I did the same thing. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
It's like cruel.
Yeah.
But the preacher's voice fades away, with the sound of a tweeting bird capturing Mark's attention up above. The boy glances up into the sky, where a hawk encircles them overhead. I don't know a lot about hawks, but that bird did not make that sound.
Yeah.
But sometime later, friends and family gather at the Evans residence. We pan past them, lingering on the patio to find Mark standing alone, with his back resting against the side of an archway. He ventures off, his small steps leading him through a gate where he stands to survey the scenic surroundings just off of their property. I was like, if this is your backyard,
Literally.
Yeah.
what's going on?
What's going on? I demand to know what's
I
happening.
do. And I do want to say, just from watching a lot of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, just the architecture of this house, I was like, that's New Mexico.
Yeah.
And I believe it was.
That's hilarious.
But after gazing off into the landscape and the mountains at the horizon, Mark glances back at the house, where through a pair of glass doors, he spies his father, seated in a chair and engaged in discussion with Wallace Evans, Mark's uncle and Jack's brother, played by Daniel Hugh Kelly.
Daniel Hugh Kelly. He was in Cujo in 83. He was also in Star Trek Insurrection in 98.
Very cool. I don't know how we haven't covered Cujo yet.
Yeah. I think it's been on some polls.
Yeah,
It
and
has.
it didn't fare too well. It was put down. But inside the house, Jack states to his brother that he can't leave his son. And when Wallace counters that it's only for 2 weeks, Jack still insists that he can't do it. Wallace takes a seat across from Jack, explaining that it's not like he'll be leaving Mark with strangers. They're family. Jack understands, and when Wallace reminds his brother what he told him, that if Jack could close a deal in Tokyo, he and Mark would be set, that he'd never have to leave him again, Wallace tells him that this is his chance, and that he should take it for himself and for Mark. He adds that it would also do Mark a world of good to be around other kids right now. After mulling it over for a moment, Jack inhales a sharp breath before finally agreeing with his brother. But Jack explains that he'll bring Mark up to Maine himself, noting that they need to spend a little time together first.
Am I the only one that felt like this was wildly inappropriate to do at the funeral?
That's fair.
I feel like this
Yeah.
conversation did not need to happen today. And also, it's really striking me the vagueness of it all. how we don't know what this man's job is, but he needs to close this deal in Tokyo and then we'll be set for life. We don't know what the mother's condition was, but she's dead. Like, it's just like her condition's getting worse. My job will pay everything if I close this deal. It's just like, who wrote that? Like, not who wrote this, but, it's very like.
Well, there's some other hands in it that I feel chopped at.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, because that is something too that, again, you do notice because it is very vague. It's just, you're sick. Oh, now you're gone. You work and you got to leave. We need you gone.
But it's, again, we are propelling this breakneck speed of, like, it doesn't fucking matter what his job is. He's got to go to Japan.
Yeah. And it honestly, like, just on its face, and this sounds mean, it's just bad writing, because if you just say, you remember what you told me?
Yeah.
That if you go to Tokyo, it's like, yeah, I fucking told you.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
Brother. We know.
Our
Thank you for
parents
letting us know.
are the same. But we find ourselves floating above Jack's Jeep on the open road, Mark in the passenger seat, and the road lined on either side by sparse vegetation and towering red rocks. The camera arcs around the vehicle down below, which takes to the empty and open road with its top down. But inside, we find Mark transfixed on his Game Boy, not a word spoken between him and his father until Jack finally breaks the silence. He calls out to his co-pilot, noting that if he ever gets tired of bombing the universe, he's missing a lot of great stuff out here. But the beauty of the natural world around them is of no interest to Mark, who stays focused on the console in his hand. Jack just reaches for his son's head to tussle his hair, but after a moment longer, he decides to pull the car over. The Jeep sits quietly on the side of the road as Jack looks over to his son, the father resting wearily on the steering wheel as he acknowledges his son's grief and pain, but he pleads with Mark not to shut him out like this. This is when Mark's small voice offers with certainty, "She's coming back." Jack stutters his disbelief, but Mark continues that his mother might not come back as herself, but she is going to come back. Forced to correct him, Jack states sincerely that he misses his mother too, but she's gone. Mark rejects his father's words, tearing off his seatbelt and ripping the passenger side door open. He races off through the barren brush, ignoring his father's calls, and once he reaches a proper distance, Mark stops dead in his tracks, staring solemnly into the horizon. And the scene just ends there.
Yeah. And the music was really, like, weirdly uplifting.
It was.
It was a weird shift from where we were, and then they're driving, and the music is almost whimsical. So I was like, I was like, what is this?
I feel like it's almost like at the start, you're like, okay, well, maybe it is their own little adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And then that could explain why the music is like that.
Yeah.
But then
the scene we get.
Yeah. The scene is heartbreaking, and then we don't get this, like, potentially poignant moment between father and son.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like he should have maybe gotten out of the car.
Maybe
and walked over there or something.
We could have
he
started there for sure. Yeah. But it is extremely sad.
It
and
is.
Obviously what he's saying is supposed to lay groundwork for something later.
Mm-hmm.
It's not successful.
Right.
I feel like and we'll get to it, of course, but there are a few changes, really small changes, that I think could have made it successful.
Okay.
And it's just odd. I wonder what the old screenplay looked like.
I'm very interested to learn that as well. Yeah.
But we crossfade to the rippling waters of the ocean, gliding across them to climb the hull of a weathered ferry boat, where parked on its deck sits the Evanses' tan Jeep. Mark stands with Jack right in front of their car, gazing out into the vast waters, the encroaching land ahead of them. But we then find them driving together through a sprawling snow-covered neighborhood, tall houses decorating both sides of the street as Mark marvels at them through the windshield. The pair ventures on, reaching a curve in the road with the camera lingering behind them to rise in reverence upon a coastside mansion across the water. It stands massive upon the rocks, all 4 stories of its pristine white exterior framed by the brittle branches of winter trees, each of its many windows afforded a breathtaking view in every direction.
It's fucking stunning.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't believe
people.
Yeah, I can't believe people live like this. Is what I'm trying to say. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this house very quickly. This is a real house in Manchester by the Sea, which is a coastal town, I believe they said on Cape Ann in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And very interestingly, it was found the old-fashioned way. Location scout Ben Dewey knew the owners.
Wow.
Okay.
They had said, which I really appreciated because I guess it's just a different time and things have changed a lot when it comes to filmmaking. This house was not chosen based on tax incentives or anything like that at all. It was simply chosen because they loved the look of it. They said that it was the perfect location and it fit the story better than anything else.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You don't hear that very often.
Yeah.
But they said that they used, because we'll get to see the inside of this house as well, some of the interiors and even made some alterations that the owners of the house kept after the film was made.
Mm-hmm.
But the production designer is a guy called Bill Gordon. He worked on Boardwalk Empire years later, but he was also the production designer for A League of Their Own.
Oh, okay.
But he built a structure outside of Beverly, Massachusetts that matched the interior architecture of the real house. And it was literally built right on the rocks so that they could still have the same view of the ocean through the windows. Everybody was so amazed by it because typically speaking, you would build just the interiors in a studio.
Right.
And maybe have windows or backdrops that mimic the view from the house.
Yeah.
Right.
But they literally build this like fake little studio house on the rocks to overlook the real ocean.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But as the Jeep pulls into the driveway, we watch from over the shoulder of a golden-haired boy who rises on a nearby ridge to witness the car's arrival. And no, in a few moments, I don't understand how this makes sense. But
whatever.
you know, it's fine.
It's cool right now.
But from out of the house springs an excited Wallace, with Connie, his young daughter, played by Quinn Culkin, riding on his back as he descends the steps of the porch.
I will say, I read that, this is just what I read, that Kit, I'll be respectful, Culkin insisted that his daughter get this role as the little sister and kind of threatened to withhold Macaulay Culkin if both of them were not cast.
I can't believe this, dude.
I know. What the fuck?
You haven't gotten enough?
Dude, I know. I just like, put all my fucking kids in it.
Please, sir. May I have some more?
It's like, and I'm going to play the uncle.
Yeah. And Kieran can play the Jeep.
God.
It's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I did read that.
Wallace announces with a smile that they're here. And when Jack and Mark depart the Jeep, played by Kieran Culkin, apparently.
Yeah, I guess.
Apparently.
He did the beep.
Yes, he did. So otherwise, we walk.
Yeah.
Wallace declares that they've made it. The road-weary Jack concurs, but admits that it was quite a haul. 11 states in 3 days.
Woo!
Damn.
He shakes his brother's hand, Wallace prompting Connie to say hello to her Uncle Jack, her small voice acting as his echo. Jack intones that Connie is beautiful, and Wallace thanks his brother, insisting that she takes after her mother. But Wallace leans down to Mark's level, his voice high and jovial as he asks his nephew how it's going. Mark barely has enough time to mutter that it's been pretty good, before his cousin grabs him by the hand, excited to show him the house, which she says her mom granted her permission to do. But with the children racing to the front door, Wallace returns his attention to Jack, assuring him that everything is going to be okay here. They all head inside, led by the eager Connie, who announces to her mother in the kitchen that they're here. We meet Susan Evans, played by Wendy Crewson, as she turns to face them, a look of surprise finding her swiftly when she sees Mark standing with her daughter.
Wendy Crewson, she was in Air Force One in 97, The Sixth Day in 2000, and The Covenant in 2006.
Oh, very cool. I like her in this role.
Yeah.
I feel like
she has to do a lot.
yeah, there's balancing a lot, and I think that she really handles the weight of her history
Okay.
True.
Yeah.
because it's very tragic.
I did read that it was rumored that Barbara Hershey was considered for this part, and it was supposed to go to Mary Steenburgen, but she had to drop out because maybe what you were saying earlier about the scheduling conflicts.
Oh, yeah.
She ended up having to drop out because of Philadelphia.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
And I mean, luckily she would still go on to do her greatest work yet in Step Brothers. So
Right.
she still got to do that, you know.
Which is very important.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Perhaps the most important.
Yes,
you know.
another film about family.
Yeah. Well.
But Susan walks over to Mark, and as she embraces him warmly, disbelief washes over her when she realizes it's been 10 years since she last saw him. We then see Mark's eyes widen with seeming recognition at the very sight of his aunt.
This is me. Firstly, yeah, we'll get to
Yes, we
whatever
will.
moment is happening right here. But this is just me, like kind of my brain going off on its own. But I am curious to know why we haven't seen each other in 10 years.
That's a great question.
And I
Yeah.
think that it would be really interesting if maybe there was a falling out between the brothers or something. And then when things start to seem weird in the house, it seems like it's the father, maybe like kind of bullying the kid or something. And then it comes out that it's this sweet little blonde boy that was so nice, you know, so far. Like, I feel like there is so much that you could have elaborated on in the
Yeah.
choices that they've made throughout this film. I understand that these cousins cannot be close and having grown up with each other or whatever. But I don't think much would change if it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen Henry since Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't, it's very odd that we've not seen each other in 10 years.
Because you realize him saying, her saying that means that whenever he's like, oh, Connie's beautiful, this is the first time he's ever met her.
Exactly. So I think it would make sense if it's like, no, we're family. This is a hard time. Fuck all the other shit. Whatever we fell out about, I'll take care of your son. You go do what you need to do. It's just weird to include that fact and not elaborate on it because, again, I think I'm just really married to the idea of like subversion and
Something
slow burn
else.
for this story because I think it would just serve it so much better.
Well, I think it does also kind of hurt a little bit him being like, remember, you have to sink this deal. So you know enough about your brother's
Oh.
doings
Right.
and his business, and you've told me this. We've been working on
Remember
this.
you
We're
told me that?
Yeah, we're working towards this. But now we haven't seen each other or talked in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you know that? I haven't been working on this for 10 years.
No.
Or maybe I have. I don't
Who
know.
knows? It's like my whole adult life.
I don't even know what my job is.
No.
No.
And it is, I mean, when you think about it, because there are these small conversations later where it's like, oh, Jack is from here. This is where they lived and grew up.
Yeah.
But then, and also it is very funny to me because you have the film opening in this state park in Nevada, and then his house is in New Mexico. And the doctor at the hospital is credited as Arizona doctor.
He is.
So yeah, I don't know where the fuck Jack lives, but
Doesn't matter.
there's reason enough for him to move states away from where he grew up
Right.
Yeah.
and not see his brother for 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. We
It's
never
just-
get
it's-
anything.
It's
Yeah.
odd, you know?
But Susan crosses the living room to greet Jack with a hug. Jack sharing his appreciation for everything that she and Wallace are doing for Mark. Susan just smiles with certainty that Janice would have done the same. But Connie's sudden scream interrupts the family reunion, and when Mark glances up at the source of her fright, he discovers a blonde-headed boy leaning upside down from the second-floor landing. He peers at them through the uneven eye holes of a papier-mâché mask. There's something very unsettling just at the crafting of this mask,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I really wanted to see more of it.
Oh, yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
agree
Yes.
because it is creepy.
Yeah.
But a seemingly unbothered Wallace calmly calls out to his son, telling him to join the rest of the group downstairs, and he does, leaping loudly down the steps with a matching mask clutched in his hands. But when he reaches the first floor, he raises his mask, revealing himself to be Henry Evans, Mark's cousin, played by Macaulay Culkin.
Again, it's fucking Macaulay Culkin.
Right.
Home Alone, like we said, Home Alone 2, My Girl, Party Monster.
Party Monster.
I think isn't he? I've never seen it. I just know he's in it.
I used to love that movie.
I've only heard about it. It's an American Horror Story, didn't he do?
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
But Henry offers the second mask to Mark, smiling as he shares that he made 2 of them so that they could be brothers.
Aw.
As Mark accepts the gift gratefully, he promptly puts it on to match Henry's, and Susan snarks under her breath, "Oh wow," as if one wasn't enough. But the 2 boys stare at each other through their rough and featureless disguises, Henry eyeing his cousin unblinkingly as the camera presses in. That's disturbing.
Yeah. So you're evil.
Yeah. It was so funny to me because it could have just been this sweet moment.
Yeah.
But they're already maybe...
That's what I was saying. We could have really built up to where we go. Plus, was anybody else thinking of Mark Henry, the wrestler?
But that night, as the family gathers together for dinner at the dining room table, Susan lingers behind in the kitchen with Jack. As they bring the last of the dishes to the others, she shares that she spoke with someone called Alice Davenport this morning, and Jack recognizes the name, the therapist who works with Wallace at the hospital. Susan confirms this and explains that Alice said that she'd be glad to talk with Mark while Jack is on his business trip in Tokyo. Jack supposes that this would be a good idea, admitting that he can't seem to reach Mark. This little scenelet is clunky as hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Introducing this character and him being like, I can't get through to it.
Yeah.
It's just, again, when you feel like you're expediting everything, you need little moments like this because we're moving too fast.
Right.
But it does not work. But with everyone settled at the table, Susan checks in with her family, making sure that everyone has everything that they need. And as Jack compliments the meal before them, Mark sits puzzled at the food on his plate. A bright red Maine lobster. He is absolutely unsure where to begin.
I would be unsure.
Yeah. And goddamn, again, I've already seen the house.
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously, I feel like some kids grow up eating foods that kids, typically don't eat. Like Ari likes a lot of veggies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if I were taking in another child, I wouldn't just assume that they want to eat the same shit that Ari
Yeah,
eats.
no.
Yeah, but
I think that
everyone knows how to crack that open.
Yeah, I think a full lobster
That is true.
is kind of a big ask for a little boy. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Like, well, Jack's from here. I'm sure he's taught. But as the adults engage in conversation about an old lighthouse that was recently torn down on the point, Henry takes notice of Mark's confusion. But we watch as the camera dips down beneath the table, where Henry suddenly winds up his leg to deliver a stern kick to Mark's knee.
You're a problem.
Already!
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mark nearly chokes on the small bite of a roll, but he retaliates immediately with a kick of his own, hurling the heel of his small boot right into Henry's ankle. Henry takes the pain with eerie stoicism, or a poorly directed reaction, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But the boys immediately dissolve into laughter. I didn't expect that to be where it goes, but I guess they're just horsing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, at least we're having a laugh. Everything, it's
Right now.
fine. Yeah.
It is funny that you mentioned the reaction because I did notice it and I was like, so is that almost him like, okay, you opened that door.
Oh, you're going to fight back.
Oh, like challenge accepted?
Yes.
That's interesting.
That's one way to take it, I think.
Yeah.
You're right.
I like that, actually.
But as the conversation continues among the adults, Henry reaches for the lobster claw on Mark's plate, correcting his cousin on how to properly crack it open. He reaches for a tool on the table to do the trick, cinching it around the crustacean's appendage and squeezing it as tightly as he can. But when it doesn't work, he sets it on the table, bringing his fist down loudly until the shell breaks. Susan scolds her son, but Mark dies laughing, reaching for the tool to give it a try himself. Watching the two jovial boys, Susan softens, leaning over to Jack to whisper, "I think he's gonna be fine." And Jack can't help but smile in agreement as the laughter from the boys grows even louder.
I will be honest. Sometimes when they are just laughing and being kids, it comes through like they're real. I mean, they are real children, but you know what I mean? Like, there's no cameras here. We're just fucking around. We're playing.
They're just kids. Yeah.
But after dinner, Mark stands outside with Jack beneath a flurry of snowfall, a golden glow cast through the windows of the house behind them. Jack loads his belongings into their Jeep, and after he closes the driver's side door, he leans down to Mark, reaching a comforting hand to his shoulder. He makes sure that he understands why he has to go to Tokyo. He's leaving now so that he'll never have to leave him again. He reminds Mark that it's only 2 weeks, and it could be even less. But he encourages Mark to cheer up, adding that it's winter break, and all he has to do is play with Henry and have a great time. Mark's only answer is to reach for his father, wrapping his arms around him as tightly as he can, and Jack returns the favor. After they share a pair of earnest I love yous to each other, Jack promises that they'll be together again very soon. As he rises, so does a pleasant piano in the score, Mark doing his best to fight back the tears as his father offers him a small kiss on the forehead. He climbs into the driver's seat of the Jeep, the red taillights beaming to life and illuminating Mark as he watches his father pull out of the driveway and onto the long road ahead of him. As the Jeep disappears, Mark races for the steps of the porch where Susan waits for him, guiding him back into the warmth of their home. But that next morning, we spy the rippling ocean from the window just above Mark's bed, where the boy stirs awake after a long night's sleep. From upstairs, Mark can hear the calls of his cousin playing outside, and he glances over to the other side of the room, where Henry's bed lies unkempt and empty. He peers out of the window to find Henry, having the time of his life, aiming down sight of a toy rifle, and with the imagination of a child, he snags a stone to toss over a rock wall as he calls out, "Grenade!" He takes off running in the other direction to avoid the make-believe blast. Mark rushes to get dressed so that he can join his cousin outside, but when he steps out into the hall, he can't help but notice a small chime jingling in an adjacent room, and he crosses the corridor to investigate. When he reaches it, he pushes the door open, and we pan across an array of abandoned toys. Stuffed animals sat at a small table for a tea party, and the uniform and laundered linens that cover an undisturbed bed.
Just at first sight, it's like, okay, this is going to be sad and tragic.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is there something supernatural happening because of the mobile going on its own? That's what I thought. Because we never really get
No. But Mark lingers for a moment before exiting the room, closing the door behind him and descending the stairs to the first floor. His loud, hurried steps catch the attention of Susan, who calls out to him from the kitchen, warning, "Not so fast," and offering to make him breakfast. We cut to Mark, sitting at the head of the dining table, enjoying his freshly made food as Susan pours him a glass of milk and takes a seat right next to him. She asks Mark how he slept, making sure that Henry didn't keep him up all night talking. Without looking up from his breakfast, Mark assures her that Henry was fine and that he slept well, but Susan looks over to him, smiling sweetly as she shares that they're really glad that he's here with them. A grateful Mark finally shifts his focus from his plate over to Susan, sharing a small moment of silent sincerity before the pair are interrupted by Henry, who calls out to Mark from outside, urging him to join him. Mark glances back over to Susan, who grants him permission, and after taking a big gulp of his milk, he races for the door to meet his cousin. But the sunlight shimmers across the surface of the ocean surrounding the property as Mark dashes across the porch into the front of the house. Henry calls out to him, firing a football in his direction, which Mark catches reflexively. His cousin compliments the catch, and the pair toss the ball back and forth as they rush across the snow-covered lawn and for a fence on the far side of the grass. Once they reach it, Henry slides a slat open, leading Mark through a bed of crisp leaves and over to a towering tree. As Mark's eyes climb its intimidating stature, Henry asks, "You afraid of heights?" When Mark insists that he isn't, Henry retorts that he'll see him at the top then. He climbs the thin, disparate rungs of a makeshift ladder nailed into the bark of the tree, goading Mark to join him, and after swallowing every ounce of his fear, Mark does.
Who the fuck built this?
Dude,
Thank you.
This
the devil?
is
Thank you.
This is the scariest thing I've ever
this
seen.
is
Yes.
the most irresponsible shit
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I had the same question because the fucking boards to get up there are like all over the tree. None
And
of them are in
so
a-
high.
Yeah.
It's so high.
They're all over the tree. They're not uniform.
Oh, yeah.
One is like a twig.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. My only thing, I was like, did Henry build it?
That's fucking that. You're asking me to swallow a lot.
Yeah.
I know.
He's got a whole fucking work
I was
shed
gonna
back
say-
there.
Yeah, he does.
I know he has his own shit.
Yeah.
And he's really left to his own devices. But that's a lot, dude.
But the camera rises to the full height of the tree, the fortress of a treehouse waiting for them at the top. And as they make their ascent, Connie joins them, watching nervously from the ground. After climbing for what feels like ages, Henry finally reaches the treehouse, using an outstretched branch as a stepping stone to gain entry, which Mark takes note of as he continues his climb. Once Mark reaches it, Henry leans over to help his cousin inside, encouraging him onward. Mark's shaky voice pleads for Henry to help him up, but as soon as he puts his full weight onto the branch, it suddenly snaps, sailing to the ground below and landing right next to Connie. Mark screams, the clutch of his cousin's grip the only thing keeping him from a frightening fall. He cries for Henry to pull him up, but Henry just stares down at his fearful cousin, pondering, "If I let you go, do you think you could fly?" Mark just dangles there, a trembling plea for help his only answer to Henry's peculiar question. And after mulling it over for a moment, Henry reaches for his cousin's coat to lift him up into the treehouse. They rest there on the floorboards, catching their breath before bursting into laughter as they wrestle.
Ain't a goddamn thing funny about what just happened.
I know.
No.
Nothing. It did remind me of The Simpsons when they had to save Milhouse from dangling and
Yeah.
his pajamas were ripping or whatever.
Homer's checking through that. They're fine.
But no, dude, this is insane. Firstly, this is my first and last visit to this fucking treacherous treehouse.
Yeah.
And Henry, we are no longer friends.
No.
Yeah.
This is terrible. This isn't like a prank or like a joke.
Yeah, if I fall, I'm going to grab a handful of your hair. We're going to go.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
can come down with me.
Jack came tumbling after.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do wonder because this visual it has to be a bit of foreshadowing to what's
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
coming. I thought that was interesting, but I swear maybe it is the mind of a child. It's like, it's fine. We can still have fun. But I just think that the day and relationship are ruined.
It's over.
Yeah.
But I think it is, like you said, it is very childlike, where it's like a lot of times kids don't consider the consequences of what could have happened.
Right.
It's just like, oh, we're fine, and probably the adrenaline of like, almost dying or whatever.
So that's going to make playing funner.
Everything's heightened.
Funner. I'm a child.
You're a little boy.
But later in the afternoon, Mark follows Henry into an expansive warehouse, the camera arcing around the pair as they make their way inside. Mark reaches down into a pile of littered stones to seize one, calling out to his cousin, "Hey, Henry! Grenade!" He tosses it to the other side of the structure, and not to be outdone, Henry reaches for a stone as well, but his goal isn't distance, it's destruction. He tells Mark to watch as the stone flies free from his fist and into the multicolored glass windows that line the far wall. The glass shatters, a sour note sounding in the score, before immediately growing triumphant as Mark joins his cousin, the pair hurling stone after stone, each one crashing through glass and sending a mess of shards to the factory floor.
I know Mark needs this, but this is destruction of property. Like,
Big time.
Yeah.
Like, not to be a buzzkill.
yeah, like I'm sure I'd have done the same, but
Right.
I'm not 10.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. This again was giving Barton Millhouse in the factory.
yeah.
I was not expecting this to be the second location for the party.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do we live? Henry really is just out fucking on its own, fucking shit
Yeah.
up. Like, it was kind of appalling. I know it was a different time, whatever.
Right,
but
right.
Wow.
It was really just funny to me how quickly Henry escalates this.
Yeah.
He's like, you think that's
Yeah.
cool?
Watch this.
And they are the consequences that are threatened in a moment, but they're breaking windows for like fucking 20 minutes.
They are.
Yeah.
And I thought, again, we're talking about the score. I actually thought that this was a thoughtful use of what they did. Because the second he picks up the rock and it shatters the glass, there's an eerie sound in the score. But then it dips back into being playful as soon as Mark joins him.
Okay.
So it's like a little tease of being like, that Henry's not quite right.
Right. That's probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
That boy ain't right. But it is, again, just like what happened in the treehouse. It is this like darkness under the guise of we're playing. We're
Right,
just having
right.
fun.
But from the other side of the structure races a factory worker, played by Jerry Goodwin, who furiously shouts, "Hey, what the hell's going on here? God damn it!"
Where have you been?
Yeah.
Not monitoring. Well, he's like, I watched it fall over. Then it fell over. But Henry takes this as their cue to exit, the man cursing the boys as little bastards as they rush out of the building the way they entered.
That did make me laugh.
Yeah.
The score grows playful as the pair run off together, down the rails of an adjacent train track, the camera rising above their scenic escape. The boys then traipse their way through tombstones at a cemetery, stopping at a stone wall of a well to finally catch their breath. We spy the pair from below as they peer down into its dark depths, Henry reaching inside a vacancy within the rocks to discover a small metal box. He sets it down in front of him, opening it up as Mark looks on curiously. But inside, Henry finds a gold lighter and a pack of cigarettes. It's like, what is this day? This is day one? It's like destruction of property.
He's showing him everything.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to get wasted later. It's like, Henry.
Well, we don't have any time. We got to do this fast.
Because this feels like the span of like 3 days.
Yeah, it does. It really
we're
does.
just running from one location to the next. I was concerned. I did laugh when the cigarettes came out because it's like, God, Henry's like a fucking grown man.
Yeah.
It's too much. But was anybody else afraid that Mark was going to go the way of Timmy O'Toole?
Oh, absolutely.
Once I saw this well, I'm like, he's going to throw him in there.
Right.
Like, maybe not right now, but we're going to return here. I was positive.
They're borrowing a lot from The Simpsons, I guess.
They're fans.
In my mind, yes.
But Henry snags a single smoke, putting it into his mouth and lighting it up. He takes a small puff before offering it to Mark, whose eyes widen in seeming shock. Mark refuses, reminding Henry that cigarettes give you cancer. But Henry counters, "Who cares? You're going to die anyway."
Read the room.
Yeah.
I also want to know, are you saying that I'm going to die anyway? Or is this just a general,
Or all
everybody
of us.
dies, like Mark Ruffalo said? But after a moment of hesitation, Mark reaches for the cigarette, inhaling a puff of his own, only to immediately let loose a hacking cough as he clutches his throat. Henry steals the smoke back from him, ascending to the top of the well to trace its circumference as he ponders. Did you see your mom after she was dead? Mark shares honestly that he wanted to, but they wouldn't let him. Henry insists that Mark should have made them because it's very important. He notes that people don't like to talk about death, and that's why you have to investigate. He claims that it's scientific. This is very troubling.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Because is investigate also an experiment?
Yeah, it is. It's like you're using words I don't like.
Yeah.
Mark climbs atop the well to join his cousin as he counters that it doesn't feel scientific. But the score grows eerie as Henry continues his line of inquiry. What did your mom look like the last time you saw her? Mark answers that she looked kind of pale, and Henry repeats this before revealing how he took a real good look when his kid brother Richard drowned in the bathtub. This is news to Mark, who responds in shock. Your brother drowned? But Henry just adds that Richard was completely blue, suggesting that Mark should have looked at his mother's eyes and her lips and touched her skin to see what it felt like. Hot? Cold? But Mark has had enough, ordering Henry to shut up about his mom. Henry deflects that he was just trying to be scientific, but Mark warns him to shut up or he'll hit him. Unflinching, Henry implores, try it. And after tossing the cigarette to a sizzling stop in the water at the bottom of the well, he adds, try it, and I'll throw you down there. But when Mark calls his bluff, Henry just apologizes, admitting that it was dumb of him, acknowledging that he knows how he would feel if he didn't have a mom. He reaches his hand outward, over the yawning mouth of the deep well as he offers, friends?
I know.
This is how I know the pacing of this scene worked really well for me because I was like, Mark, don't you fucking think? Like, I was like so terrified for him.
I thought he was going to.
Because he's holding it over the hole.
Right.
But Mark returns the gesture, shaking his cousin's hand without incident. But that night, we spy the seaside mansion through barren trees, snow catching on the wind as a light switches off in an upstairs window. And inside, Wallace climbs the stairs to the second floor, passing the boys' room where their laughter echoes into the hall. Their small voices recount the events of the day, Mark recalling how scary that guy was earlier, presumably at the factory.
Yeah.
But Wallace is just like, whatever.
Like, what guy? What are you
It's called parenting, but you know. Henry snarks Mark for how he went white and bailed as fast as he could, which Henry did too.
Yeah, what?
But not asking any questions at all or wondering what man could have been scary earlier. Wallace just tells the boys that it's getting late and to knock it off. But as he continues down the hall, he smiles as their conversation continues, calling out, I mean it, not another peep. But Henry takes this to heart, calling out a few literal peeps, which cracks his father up rather than pissing him off. He shuts off the light in the hall, and the boys laugh together in their bedroom. But in the silence and stillness of the night, a jovial Mark gets comfortable in his bed, whispering over to his cousin, Hey, Henry, today was fun. But stone-faced, Henry promises, tomorrow will be even better. That's a threat.
For who? Yeah, better for who?
What?
And that next morning, the boys descend a stone wall together to reach the docks of a small marina. As they continue across, Mark asks his cousin if he's ever read Skeleton Man, sharing that he's a really cool superhero that you can't kill because he's already dead. Henry has never heard of him, claiming to have never read a comic book because they warp your mind. They share a laugh together, venturing onward without incident, until the territorial bark of a Staffordshire Terrier interrupts them. That's according to the the detailed action report of the American Humane Society. Please don't come for me in the comments.
I do not know dogs.
I don't know dogs at all.
I'm sure it's a nice dog.
I'm sure.
Sure, yeah.
He seems nice.
Right.
Sure.
He's acting.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a method actor.
Mm-hmm. But the dog charges for them, growling, and sending the boys racing for the other side of the small footbridge. The score grows frenzied, but also still kind of playful, as they run for their fucking lives.
Yeah.
Was anybody else thinking Chopper sick balls?
Oh, yeah.
Right, it's like very. I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder if that's a nod.
Also, the mom on Lost Boys has to run from the dog on that little pier thing.
True.
That's
Ew.
right. But once they reach the gate, Henry slams it shut behind them, the dog barking at the would-be intruders. But as he stands on his hind legs, barking almost eye level at the boys, Henry crosses past his cousin to stand face to face with the mutt, returning the bark right back at him. Mark stands frozen in disbelief before finally reaching out to Henry to pull him away. He's like, he's had enough, man.
Yeah.
But before rushing off together, Henry turns around to face the dog one more time, declaring with a smile, "I love that dog."
Mm-hmm.
But the boys finally reach the rugged edge of a cliff, crawling onto their stomachs to rest upon the rock. But on a distant peak stands Susan at a precarious height, staring off into the endless water of the ocean. Mark immediately recognizes her from behind, and Henry explains that she's always there. She goes out to the cliff to think about Richard. Henry considers it kind of weird and suggests instead for Mark to follow him elsewhere to show off his new invention. But as the score sings solemnly, we rest for a moment with Susan, who peers out into the water, lost in thought as she drifts into memory.
This is devastating.
Yeah. We'll talk about this location later, but this is a real thing, and it is frightening to consider they're all standing and resting where they are.
Yeah.
I'm not about that life.
Absolutely not.
But the boys continue their trek past the house and through the sliding slat of the fence to reach a shed on the far side of the property, which Henry claims is his. They enter its wooden walls, crossing through the clutter to find a homemade crossbow, which is displayed at the center of the room. It's cobbled together from found materials, and Henry explains that it took him 3 months to make it. The pair carry it over to an array of rocks outside of the shed, resting it there for Henry to aim down its sights. The side of it looks like a Rolls-Royce emblem.
It is. I think they just drilled a hole through it.
Yeah.
Or he did. I don't want to say Mark did anything.
Right. Yeah.
No, don't lump Mark into this.
It was just wild. It was like a Rolls fucking
Yeah.
Royce. It was like their trash is better than my trash. But Henry directs Mark to load a rusted bolt into the barrel as he winds the bow back with a small pulley. Henry finds a proper target for his shot, an adorable stray cat. She stretches her way across a rock wall, Mark pleading with his cousin not to hurt her and to only give her a scare. Henry responds with a less than reassuring, "Sure." The score grows tense as we press in on the poor cat and onto Henry's focused eyes as he aims and fires. The bolt bursts from the barrel and lands just past the cat's head into the trunk of the tree behind it.
The cat did not give a shit.
No.
But do y'all remember that video where the man thought that the bear fell in the water and was swept away?
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, he's right there."
Yes, dude.
That was my moment there. I was like, "You better fucking not hurt this cat."
I did want to say, according to the American Humane Society, who was on set during the filming of this scene,
Okay.
the cat was never, ever, ever in any danger.
Okay.
The shots were actually filmed separately and put together as a composite in post.
Okay.
Good, because there's no reason for you to not do that.
No. Yeah.
And you want to hear something very adorable? The rock wall was heated
Oh,
so that the cat would always be comfortable.
I think this movie just earned another point.
Yeah.
But the cat offers an oblivious meow before scurrying off. Henry rises from his perch, disappointed, but he joins Mark as he races over to the tree where they discover the bolt in its bark. Mark reaches for it, amazed, congratulating his cousin on the great shot. But Henry just stares off in the direction of the still living feline, retorting, "Yeah, but the sight's not right yet."
Hello, 911.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that was an inside thought.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I shouldn't know that.
No.
An eerie piano plods in the score as we're taken to a swinging sign, which hangs above a small set of stone steps and reads, "Alice Davenport, Family Counseling." Mark passes it as he ascends the stairs and the walkway leading up to a large white house which overlooks the rising tide. He stops to survey it, but through the window, Dr. Alice Davenport, played by Jacqueline Brooks, spies him, and clutching a steaming cup of tea, she knocks on the glass to get his attention.
Jacqueline Brooks, she was in Last Embrace in 79, Sea of Love in 89, and The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear in 91.
Once again, and I have a lot of issues with this character.
Yeah, me too.
Once again, though, why is Mark left to his own devices to go to his own counseling session?
That's a fair point.
Why are we treating these kids like they're 16, 17, 18 years old? They're little boys.
Yeah. There's no adult to take him anywhere.
He doesn't even live here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, dude.
It's like I swam all the way here. It's like, what? Your father didn't drive.
He stole the ferry, man. He found the gun.
He did.
Went to the guy sitting up.
It's too much.
But the pair gather together in her living room, Mark transfixed on a clear paperweight in his hands, tilting it from side to side to watch the blue waves slowly cascade within it. Alice acknowledges that this is a nice change. Usually, all her patients want to do is talk. But when Mark states that he doesn't really have anything to say, Alice insists that Mark's father thinks he does. Mark understands that Jack wants him to talk about his mom, and Alice suggests that sometimes it helps to do that. Mark just responds that he can handle it. He has to. But Alice wonders why that is, and Mark answers, because when you make a promise, when something is your fault. Alice asks what he did, and Mark explains, I let someone die. And that's the end of that scene.
Yeah. This little boy needs to be counseled.
Yeah.
He needs, like, this undeserved guilt is crushing.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's just so sad. And then to be like, well, next scene.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Hold on. Let us feel something for a second. Wait.
It is funny because without any, like, knowing what's going on, it's just like, oh, so y'all out there killing fools, you and Henry? What the fuck happened? What do you mean you let somebody die?
Honestly, like, there needs to be more context. She is a therapist and everything, but she also doesn't know really anything that he's going through.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't know anything about what, like, ask a question.
Yeah.
Fuck. But that night, we climb the front porch of the seaside mansion, past the thin, tangled branches that twist around the gutters, and up through the boy's bedroom window, where we find Mark in the throes of a nightmare. He lurches up, startled awake, but through the small slice of light in the door, he spies a figure gliding angelically through the hall, her white nightgown billowing over her bare feet as she crosses her way to the staircase. As she creaks across the floorboards, Mark sits up bewildered, barely able to whisper, Mom? He climbs out of bed, rushing into the hall to follow the figure downstairs, the woman a blur of bright fabric through the banister as she reaches the first floor and makes her way into the kitchen. At the bottom of the steps, Mark calls out for her again. Mom? But when the figure turns around, she reveals herself to be Susan. And upon the realization that it isn't his mother, Mark crumbles into a somber seat on the steps. Susan walks over to him, wondering what's the matter, but Mark just raises his head, certainty settling within his tearful eyes as he tells her, It is you. You came back. I knew you'd come back. Susan sighs sympathetically, assuring Mark that she's right here. She reaches for him, taking a seat at his side to embrace him in her arms. Mark collapses into sobs as Susan holds him warmly to her, rocking him in her arms as she soothes him. I know you miss her. I know you do. But the camera rises to the second-floor hallway, where within the shadows stands Henry, peering down at Mark in the comforting arms of his mother. He kneels down to watch them, clutching the banister like the bars of a prison cell as he narrows his eyes at the sight before him, the score growing sinister as we fade to black.
Firstly, incredibly sad.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching Henry's reaction to this when they were talking at the well, and he was like, I don't even know how I would feel if I didn't have a mom. And we see that he has these not so good tendencies.
You took a while.
I'm trying to think of how to say this. And his elaboration on, you know, experiencing the state of his brother after he passed away. In my mind, I'm like, oh, he wants to be the only one that his mother loves.
Right.
And so I'm afraid for Mark. I'm afraid for
Connie.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily where we're going with this, but I'm thinking of the title, The Good Son.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I want to be my mom's everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of what when he's looking, I mean, he does not look happy to see his mother comforting Mark. That's where I'm thinking this is going. And I think that could have been kind of interesting.
I agree.
Okay, yeah.
But again, my imagination is running away with me, and that's not what this is.
Well, that fits the title.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
I honestly, there were a few thoughts that I had here because we have this feeling of, or a belief from Mark that his mother has returned to him.
Yes.
In the form of Susan. I do not think when he says, I knew you'd come back, it is you, that Susan should say, I'm right here.
Yeah. He's obviously not talking about you.
No.
Right.
And that's going to be very confusing for a child
Yes.
who is already going through enough. But I also think that, at least on behalf of either the casting or the screenwriters, there are a lot of ways that this kind of a subplot could be successful.
Yeah.
I think the first way is to not have it to where Janice and Susan could not be further from each other.
Yes.
As far as relation is concerned.
Yes.
I think that it would work better if it wasn't Wallace being Jack's brother.
Yeah.
But Susan being Janice's sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That to me works a lot better, especially with the way that Mark is perceiving everything.
Right.
Because this, I don't understand the connection really at all.
Yeah.
No, I thought the same thing. For me, it would be better if the siblings were whipped from the mom. Because Uncle Wallace, I mean...
Uncle who?
Yeah.
I think he has 2 scenes, maybe?
Yes. No shit. But it is that, because you're right. For me, seeing this and him being like mom and going down there, it is sad, but there's a bit of a disconnect for me because that's my uncle's wife. And if I haven't seen you in 10 years, I don't really know you. And then if you knew my mom, but how long ago? I don't even know that relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you have it to where whenever he first walks in and he sees her, his eyes grow wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like she looks like his mom or something.
Yeah.
That he recognizes something immediately.
Right.
But that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But that next morning, Mark lies on the floor with Connie in front of the hearth, the cousins working together to sort through the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Mark teaches Connie how to deduce where the pieces fit together, congratulating her when she guesses a piece correctly. But Connie changes topics, wondering if Mark likes living here with them, and he says that he does. Connie then promises that they're going to look after him real good so that he won't be sad. And the pair share a sweet smile with each other in the flickering light of the fire.
It's sweet.
Yeah. But they're promptly interrupted by Henry, who calls out to Mark, "Oh, 900 hours. Let's move out." Mark stands to join Henry, as does Connie, but Henry just pushes his sister away, sneering, "Not you." Connie retorts that Mark is her friend too, but Henry pays her no mind as he pulls their cousin away, Mark promising that he'll play with her later as Henry drags him outside. As they pull on their winter coats and descend the porch steps, Connie rushes out to follow them, whinging, "I don't care about your stupid secrets. I've got my own secrets, and I'm not going to tell you a single one." I thought that was going to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe she knows something that maybe Henry doesn't know that she knows.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, yeah.
But
No.
No.
she's just got other secrets.
She's got a life outside this house, you know.
But Henry and Mark hurry off together, paying no mind to what Connie just said. They make their way back to the docks, Henry arming himself with his homemade crossbow and aiming down sight, with Mark making with the soldier jargon, alerting his cousin that the system is armed and ready. He suggests for Henry to try to hit a metal sign that's nailed on the side of the bridge, but Henry deems this target unworthy, and when Mark offers a nearby street lamp instead, Henry declines this option too. But something else catches his eye, and creeping across the wooden boards of the bridge is the dirty dog who chased them across just a couple of days ago. Henry concentrates as he shares with his fellow soldier. Targeting. A frenzied Mark demands to know what Henry is doing, but he can only watch in horror as Henry lines up the shot, the world slowing down around them as his hand reaches to squeeze the trigger. The bolt bursts free from the weapon, and we hear the distant dog whimper a pained cry. Mark mutters, "Oh my God." And after a moment of relishing in what he's just done, Henry softens, and in an unconvincing tone, he insists, "I was only trying to scare him."
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Thought you loved that dog.
Yeah.
It's like you just said yesterday that the sights weren't right.
Yeah.
In a very evil tone.
Yes. Yeah.
But Mark's unblinking eyes stare directly through his cousin, knowing very well that that's untrue. But the boys gather the body of the dog into a burlap sack, shouldering the weight of him together as they carry him through the cemetery and over to the well. With great effort, the cousins push the blood-stained bag over the side, watching as it descends to a splash below.
I get we're cousins and, you know, your family took me in, whatever. I don't know you like that, man. Like, you've been doing a lot of weird shit, and, like, I've been brushing it off because we're playing and having fun, but you killed that dog.
Yep.
And I don't... Now you want me to throw it in a well with you?
Yeah, I'd be like, dude, let's just run away. They can't trace that bolt back to you.
No, yeah, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I, at this point, am like, okay, how many days have gone by? Because Dad's gone for 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
Now we just fake sick. We're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. I don't want to be alone with Henry anymore. Them sharing a room at night is already bad enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like we are not venturing out into your weird fucking shed and your abandoned fucking factory and your scary fucking tree.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going for him.
He does.
He's the coolest kid
A
alive.
lot of property.
Yeah.
We're not doing any of it.
But as they peer into the well, Henry begins to hum taps. This is the last straw for Mark, who pushes away from the well and storms off through the tombstones. An offended Henry calls out to him, "Hey, Mark, where's your sense of humor?" All alone now, Henry returns his focus to the bottom of the well and continues to hum. So that wasn't even for Mark.
No, yeah. He was like, I thought I could be myself around you.
Yeah.
But back at home, as waves crash behind him, Henry battles an invisible foe on the porch with a wooden sword as if nothing ever happened. But Mark stands solemnly nearby, the burden of his cousin's deed weighing heavily on him. He returns inside, tickling the keys of a piano in the den, but resting on its lid, he finds an array of framed photographs. He reaches for one that seems to catch him by surprise. It's a picture of him and his mother from many years ago, posing for a photo together at the marina. But in his clumsy clutch, Mark knocks the other pictures over and onto the floor, the clatter of which alerts Susan, who enters the room to help him scoop them up. She assures him that they fall all the time, which why keep them there then? But Mark retrieves the photograph of him and his mother from the floor, taking a seat to admire it. Susan joins him there, remarking at how beautiful Janice was. She shares that she really liked her. Everybody did. She says that Mark's mother was a wonderful person and that she loved Mark very much. Mark reveals that the last time he saw her, she said that she'd always be with him. Susan confirms this to be true. His mother is alive in him and will always be a part of him. Mark concurs. And you? Susan allows this, but is slightly hesitant to do so.
Because maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Or again, ask a question.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
What?
Oh, yeah. Anything.
Right? Like possessed or like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Elaborate.
But another photo catches Mark's eye, and he can't help but ask, is that Richard? Susan sighs, staring down at the picture at the top of the stack, which features her young son Richard, played by Rory Culkin, who gazes past the lens of the camera, clutching a small rubber duck just beneath his chin.
I know you said, but I feel like this too. Who told you that?
Oh, that it's Richard?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, that's fair.
How do you know that?
That's true. I was like, again, incredibly sad, but looking at that picture, it's like, that's a Culkin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's clearly a Culkin. He's like, in the fucking picture of the baby.
Yeah.
He's like, and I'll play the picture frame. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, God damn.
But Susan shares that it is Richard, and Mark says that he bets she misses him a lot. Susan confirms this, but the pair are then interrupted by a returning Henry. As soon as Susan sees him, she turns the photograph to hide his brother's photo, but Henry turns his attention instead to Mark, telling him, Mark, I have something to show you in the shed.
You got me fucked up.
Yeah.
You got me
Yeah.
fucked up.
But he did say it just like
He
that.
did. I was trying to, yeah.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. It was the best take, I believe. Mark glances worriedly at Susan, who asks if he wants to go with Henry and offers to put the photos back in their proper place for him. Mark reluctantly rises to join his cousin, and when Susan asks what they're up to out there, Henry conceals their plans. Sorry, Mom. Top secret. He grabs Mark's hand and leads him outside, leaving his mother to collect the photographs as she stares forlornly at her dearly departed son. But outside, Henry leads Mark toward the shed, and as they ascend the hill, he apologizes for what happened earlier with the dog, assuring him that it was just an accident. He asks if Mark really thinks he'd do something like that on purpose. Mark dodges that question, curious as to what Henry wants to show him in the shed. But Henry just answers that he wants Mark to meet somebody really special. He lets him inside the shed, and they walk over to a chair where someone seems to be sitting, facing away from the boys. Henry switches on a light, turning the chair around, revealing a fully dressed dummy, an emotionless papier-mâché face resting beneath its bucket hat. Henry introduces him as Mr. Highway, and Mark seems to be impressed. He gushes, wondering what Henry plans to do with him, and Henry says that it depends on Mark, whether or not he'll help him. When Mark seems uncertain, Henry makes with the promises, claiming that it'll be amazing, something Mark will never forget. He asks, "Are you in?" And Mark's silent stare definitely isn't a no. After that, dog, you got a lot of work to do to earn my trust back.
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
And it's going to take more than it was an accident.
It's like, well, it seems...
Oh, okay,
all right,
dude.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Henry.
if you're reading a transcript, it's fine. But as the morning bells toll in town, the boys carry Mr. Highway in tandem up a tall hill, through a snow-covered forest, and finally across an overpass. When Mark asks where they're going, Henry reveals that they're here. He asks Mark to help Mr. Highway rest over the side, and he does as told, lifting the dummy over the concrete wall. As its legs dangle over the edge, Henry playfully proposes, "Come on, Mr. Highway, take a look." We hover over the boys to discover several cars speeding down the highway just below them on their morning commute. Henry laments, "Poor Mr. Highway. He's thinking about the end. He's had enough of this terrible life." Mark doesn't understand, and before he can grasp it, Henry bids his cousin to say goodbye to Mr. Highway. Henry lets go of the dummy, and it drops lifelessly to the road below. Mark can do nothing but scream, watching as an RV swerves out of the way to avoid hitting Mr. Highway, the massive vehicle overturning and crashing on its side, blocking both lanes of traffic. Sedan after sedan do their best to slam on the brakes, their tires screeching across the asphalt, but their instincts aren't fast enough. A dozen vehicles collide with each other, the sickening crunch of metal on metal and the tinkling rain of shattered glass, providing the perfect soundtrack for the sinister Henry, who sits perched on the overpass, grinning at the destruction that he personally designed. We pull back from the pileup, smoke rising from the crashed vehicles, but Henry has already taken off running, leaving Mark with no choice but to follow.
Now you've got a lawsuit on your hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were in plain sight.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were. They said that they shot this sequence at Pease Air Force Base because they weren't allowed to close the highway down because they really did crash these cars.
Oh, shit.
They said that it was the director's brother driving the Winnebago. And they used a stunt where they have 55-gallon water drums in the back of the vehicle, encased in steel. So the driver pitches the vehicle sideways, the drums slide from one side to the other, and the vehicle's going to flip. So they said that they only had one RV at their disposal, so it was a one-time shot that they had to. And I mean, it is very successful.
Yeah.
And it's so loud, and like the way that they pile up against each other, it's just like, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Like, I can't imagine as a child having had a hand in this and watching this unfold.
No.
I mean, a child besides Henry, obviously. But like Mark, seeing all this happen and being like, oh, I fucking helped him. But like, what did you think he was going to do?
Yeah.
It's that. We carried this grown-up sized fucking mannequin over here. Then he's like, let's put it on the edge. Oh, Mr. Highway hates it here. And it's like, whoa, whoa,
what are we doing? What are we doing?
Let's take it back to the shed. He seemed much happier there.
Yeah, no.
It's like, Mr. Highway's right. I don't want to be here either. But yeah, it's a really successful sequence because it's just so much destruction.
Yeah.
And when we learn about what happened to the people inside these cars later, I laughed out loud.
Yeah, me too. I do like the idea of it escalating, though.
Yes.
Because it's just getting bigger and bigger. Something I did see, I went to one of those websites where you see filming locations like then and now from when they filmed it and in the modern day.
Yeah.
And they showed this bridge on, this film, and they have them standing there with Mr. Highway. And then they showed it today, and there are giant fences on both sides.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, good call.
Yeah.
But the boys retrace their path home, Henry beaming a smile, but Mark shooting nervous glances over his shoulder as they continue onward. But the pair stop dead in their tracks when the sirens of police and first responders echo through the trees and down the long road that they're on. When they see the convoy coming, Henry pulls Mark into the forest to find another way out of there. They slide down a hill together, rushing for a drainage pipe where the pair stand silhouetted against the snowfall. I really loved this shot. I just think that there are some really interesting framings and camera movements in this film.
Yeah.
Very quickly, the director of photography is a guy called John Lindley. He shot the film Legion.
Okay.
He also shot Pleasantville.
All right.
Sleeping with the Enemy, which had the same director.
Yeah.
And Field of Dreams.
Okay.
Field of Dreams again.
Yes.
But Mark breathlessly blurts that he didn't know what Henry was going to do, wondering how he could do something like that. But Henry just shushes his cousin, ordering him to be quiet as the police cars pass them by overhead. Mark quavers, "Do you know what you did?" But Henry reminds him that they did it together.
I didn't do fucking shit.
I didn't rig shit.
No. He
I didn't do that.
He had that dude ready already.
Yes. When Mark shudders that Henry could have killed people, Henry counters, "With your help." But Mark insists that he didn't know what Henry was going to do, and Henry just scoffs that he feels sorry for Mark. He doesn't know how to have fun. He supposes it's because Mark is scared all the time. And Henry understands. He used to be scared too. But that was before he found out. Before he found out that you can do anything. He says that you're free. You can fly. And nobody can touch you. Nobody.
What?
I'm going to go to the store. That's fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
He implores his cousin, "Mark, don't be afraid to fly." Mark says Henry is sick, which is fair.
Yeah.
But this prompts his cousin to get defensive, reminding Mark that he promised him something amazing, something he'd never forget. He asks, "Where's the gratitude?"
Amazing? Amazing would be us going in like an air balloon, flying it ourselves and coming back down safely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Not that.
But the pair walk home through the snow, Mark wisely keeping his distance from his cousin. But later that night, while Connie and Susie bake together in the kitchen, we glide over to the television in the living room, where a reporter, played by Andrea Hall, broadcasts live from the scene of the 10-car pileup on Route 233. I will say she signs off as Andrea Hall as well, so I wonder if she's a local reporter.
Oh, that's
okay.
cool.
But she shares a quote from a police lieutenant who states that it was a miracle that no one was seriously injured, although 4 people were taken to the hospital for minor cuts and bruises and have since been released.
Be so fucking for real.
That RV driver,
Yeah.
I think he's a bag of mush.
Yeah. We
I don't know
watched
how.
that happen. But it's like they had to clear it up where it's like, well, Henry hasn't killed anybody.
Yeah.
true.
Hold on.
Maybe that would be too far.
Yeah.
They're like, every driver died. So, yeah, that's too far.
That would be different, though.
Just like minor cuts and bruises, though, and they're all already home. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, all being home.
Yeah.
They're safe in their beds right now.
They're drinking hot chocolate.
You're right. We could have just left it at the day. Yeah, a major accident happened.
We pull back from the oblivious Susan and Connie, who pay no attention to the news broadcast, to discover Mark, who stands just outside of the room, listening intently to the reporter, who tosses the broadcast back to the studio. Mark crosses the corridor to find Wallace in his office. He lingers there at the door for a moment, but before he can step inside, Henry appears behind him, goading him on. Go ahead. Tell him. He suggests, better yet, that they should tell him together. He puts on an act. It was Mark, Dad. He talked me into it. We were just playing a game. I had no idea he was going to do something like that. Please, Dad, go easy on him. It's not his fault he's all screwed up because he misses his mom. Mark's eyes widen with disbelief at Henry's audacity, but Henry then pulls him into his father's office, calling out that Mark has something to tell him. Mark takes off running, climbing the stairs to the second floor, and when Wallace asks what's wrong with Mark, Henry just explains that he's been acting a little weird, but he offers to go check on him himself.
I know.
And Wallace just returns to his work.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah, what the fuck,
I have
dude?
a son.
Who are you?
That's kind of what it feels like.
It is. But Henry follows Mark upstairs to their bedroom to find him sitting defeated at the edge of his bed. Henry says he wanted to see if Mark was okay, just like he told his father he would, and he asks condescendingly, "Well, are you okay?" But Mark just pleads with his cousin to leave him alone. Henry then switches on a bedside lamp, balking at this request and reminding Mark that this is his room. But into the room bursts a jovial Connie, who shares that their mother said that they could go ice skating tomorrow. Henry just stalks over to his sister, asking if she remembers what he told her about coming into his room. Connie answers innocently, "But you guys aren't working on anything." But Henry approaches her, sour that she didn't answer his question, and he says that now he's going to have to do it for her. He clutches her ears tightly, the little girl sobbing as he reminds her forcefully that she isn't allowed in his room. Not now, not ever. Mark rushes from the bed to Connie's defense, pushing Henry off of his sister and up against the wall. It is very funny because he goes, "You're wrong about that."
Yeah.
Which is great. But Mark tells his cousin that this is his room too, and he says Connie can stay. They struggle against each other, pulling at the other's hair as Connie rushes off for her mother, crying out that the boys are fighting. Feel like she could have shared a little more information.
Yeah.
But in their struggle, Henry understands that Mark likes Connie, acknowledging that she's a sweet little girl. He supposes that it would be too bad if something were to happen to her, if she got hurt. He guesses that Mark would be sad, but hey, accidents happen. To further prove this fact, Henry suggests that Mark ask his mom about Richard.
Come on, man.
You're showing your hand
Yes.
a little
So, yeah.
too much.
Yeah. But to be fair, who was surprised?
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah.
I kind of guessed that from...
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
But almost on cue, Susan climbs the stairs and enters their room, breaking up the fight from the doorway with a calm call to both of them. As they separate from each other, Henry lies that they weren't really fighting, they were just playing a dumb game together. He turns to Mark, forcing his buy-in, which Mark provides reluctantly. Susan softens, lightly scolding the boys not to play so rough, noting that it looked like they were trying to kill each other. Susan exits the room, leaving the two boys to stare daggers at each other behind her back.
Come on. Let's stop that. If they looked like they were hurting each other, they were.
Yes.
You need to, what's wrong? What happened? Why? Okay, you're playing rough. Why are you playing rough like that? What'd you get mad about? What did you do who did what?
Yeah. And why is your sister screaming? There's a lot going on.
Why are
But
her ears red?
Yeah.
Yes.
It feels like both of these parents are taking any attempt to, Mark sprints down the hall and the dad's like, well, and then she walks in on them beating the shit out of each other and it's like, we were playing. All right.
Yeah.
It's a get out of jail free card. I don't need a parent. I'm just going to walk away. I need someone to clock in. It's entirely too much.
Meanwhile, fucking Jack is in Tokyo and no one's thought, why hasn't Mark called him?
Yeah. No shit.
It's to the point where you forget that the dad is even a factor in this.
Right.
Because it's he's so out of sight, out of mind until the ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's long distance or whatever. Mark will pay the charges.
Yeah,
Yes.
but yeah.
It's worth it to get some fucking help.
Right.
Look at this house. You guys can.
Yeah, that's-
It's a phone call.
And you went there so we could be set for the rest of our life. I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I think we're fine.
But that next morning, we spy Connie through a sea of children on the playground, under the watchful and protective eye of Mark, who sits on a nearby bench. This doesn't look like ice skating, but we'll get past it.
No.
I honestly think that scene was supposed to be switched with the other one for the next day.
Okay.
Because that does happen.
Yeah.
It does.
But Mark is then approached by Alice, who says that Susan told her that he would be here, assuming that he must have forgotten their appointment. When Mark explains that he just didn't feel like talking, Alice insists that talking helps, reminding Mark that it helped him during their last appointment. We never saw that.
I'm like, did it?
Maybe. The scene cut too abruptly.
It really did.
As she takes a seat next to him, Mark mulls something over for a moment. Alice is a doctor. She knows things. Alice allows that she knows some things, but Mark has a very particular question in mind. What makes people evil? Alice suggests astutely that evil is a word that people use when they've given up trying to understand someone. She adds that there's a reason for everything if we can just find it. But Mark wonders, what if there isn't a reason? What if something just is? Alice, assuming that Mark must be talking about himself, ponders, do you think you're evil because you let your mother die? She assures him that this isn't true.
The wording of that is fucking insane.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand a black hole. It's not evil. I'm not calling it evil. I'm so sorry. That's bullshit.
Like that,
yeah.
Wait, it may be.
I mean,
we don't
but come on.
Mark rises from his seat, asking, what if there was this boy who did these terrible things because he liked doing them? Would you say that he was evil? But when Alice insists that she doesn't believe in evil, Mark retorts that she should.
I need Mark to be more specific here, because this almost felt like we were going down a road where he was going to be implicated in things.
Right.
And then when we check back with the counselor, she's like, well, he was saying some concerning shit, thinking that he's evil or whatever. It's like, just say, Henry killed a dog.
Yes.
And did you hear about the 10-car blast? Because he did that too. Everyone is safe at home.
But it was still very scary.
I get it, but I do feel like her as well. You're a counselor. Why are you like, I don't think anything's evil, instead of saying, why are you
Yes.
asking that?
Yeah.
What little boy, is this really about you?
That.
Or you're like,
Or even
you're with this family you don't know.
Yes, if you're so sure, be like, Mark, you are not evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did not let your mother die. It's a horrible thing that happened, but it is not your fault.
And I'm sorry, but who gives a fuck what you believe, Alice? I don't believe in evil. It's like, well, Mark does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's going through
Yeah.
it.
Counsel him,
Yeah.
goddammit.
Yeah.
But back at home, Henry answers the telephone, finding it to be his Uncle Jack on the other end. Jack asks to speak to Mark, but Henry, spying Mark and Connie rushing joyously through the yard together, lies to his uncle that he doesn't know where Mark is. Jack asks if they're having fun together, and Henry says that they are. Lots of fun. He claims that Mark really likes it here. And you know what? They really like Mark too. It's like, God damn, dude.
Why are you talking about that?
Jack is pleased to hear this, asking Henry to just tell Mark that he called, and Henry assures him that he will. This is the first time that we've seen that Jack is calling from Tokyo to talk to his son.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to a child that I barely know
Yeah.
telling me, I don't know where your son is. Why isn't he here?
Yeah.
Where could he be? Can I talk to my brother?
It's
Yes,
that.
yes,
It's that.
yes.
Where's
Put
your
a fucking
dad?
adult
Yeah.
on the
It's so
Yeah.
weird. But the family gathers together at the dining room table for lunch. Susan asks the boys their plans for the afternoon, but Henry only offers a vague, not much. Wallace, however, has plans of his own. He's taking Susan out for dinner tonight, and he asks if the kids can babysit themselves and not get into too much trouble.
I'm not trying to count other folks' money, okay? You live in this goddamn house and you can't spring for a babysitter for a few hours
Right.
with this child again who is going through a rough time. You guys don't know each other. I don't know, dude. This really pissed me off.
Dude, they were
Yeah.
just beating the shit out of each
Yeah.
other.
They were.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like it would be better if they were teens.
Fair.
But them being like 10 and under
Yes.
is not
The way
like-
that they're left to their own devices, it's almost as if this was a story for like 15-year-old kids.
Right.
I think there was something in the production that I read that when Lehman met with Macaulay Culkin to gauge his ability to take on this part, one of the complaints that he said, is Macaulay Culkin isn't old enough.
See, that is what it
Yeah.
feels like, because it's like, what the hell? Why are we in an abandoned factory?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it could have been that they were supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Why do you have your own work shed?
Yeah.
It's just things that
Fair.
would make more sense if this was an older teen.
Yes. Yeah. Even just him.
Yes,
just
yes.
Henry being
Honestly,
older.
even if Mark is younger,
Yes.
that's fine.
Yeah,
well,
that
it
works.
gives it more reason why he's following his older cousin around.
Yes.
He's trying to be cool. He's trying to like, no, yeah, this is fine. Because he's older. I want to be cool.
Yeah.
That would work. Yeah.
And why they would not need a babysitter.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because a 15-year-old can watch a 10-year-old.
Yes.
But Henry assures his father that they can stay out of trouble. But Mark shoots very worried glances that any parent worth their salt should notice. No one does.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Connie, however, asks her father if she can stay up to watch Monster Theater tonight. But Henry puts his foot down. No, it might warp your impressionable brain.
You're not watching anybody.
Yeah.
You're abusing your power
Yeah.
right in front of me.
So dinner's off.
Yeah.
Connie reminds her older brother that he isn't the boss, but Henry insists that he is, calling his sister vermin. Susan scolds her son, though Connie isn't even sure what a vermin is. But Henry takes it upon himself to share some news with his parents. Mark's been saying that he'd like to move into Richard's room. This begins something tragic and terrible. But I just want to know, how many fucking days does Mark even have left in this house?
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding.
He's like, I need to stretch my bones.
Yeah, for the day and a half that I have left. Like,
I
what
really
are we
need
doing?
my own space.
No. A week has had to pass already.
Absolutely, dude. Too much shit has happened.
Yes.
Those people are out of the hospital. Like- But while Mark insists that this isn't true, Wallace doesn't think that it's such a bad idea. Susan stutters a nervous laugh, reminding her husband that they've been through this before. Mark reiterates that he doesn't even want to move in there, but Henry cuts him off. Now, Mark, don't lie. Dude, I swear to God. Wallace persists, suggesting that Susan give it some thought. They can't leave Richard's room like that forever. It's turning into a museum.
Again, dude.
Unbelievable.
This is not
Yeah.
this is so like dismissive of her feelings.
Yeah?
And we don't need to be having this conversation right now in front of the kids on the fucking fly while we're eating. Like, what the hell is going on?
I don't know.
I don't like anybody except Mark.
Yeah.
And I guess Connie's fine. But
Yeah, she hasn't done anything wrong.
she hasn't done anything. This is ridiculous.
It is. I'm gonna honestly say that I kind of don't like this.
yeah.
I kind of don't. Like, it is very sad and tragic, but it's how this is put into the movie, and again, I don't even feel like this means anything. The room?
I feel like the way, I don't know, just the way that I don't know. There's something about it that just feels just wrong. I just really don't like it.
Yeah.
But Susan explains that she didn't say to leave it like this forever. The room will change when she's ready. She then offers a room on the 3rd floor for Mark to have instead. Holy shit. I can't relate to anything that's happening here.
But I also feel like if we have that room, why can't he
weren't
just
That's
go
a
over
great
there?
question.
Why
Yeah.
weren't we using it in the first place?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why am I sharing a room with Henry?
Yes. What? It's already there.
It's like you have another floor.
Yes. Yeah. It's not just for the one room, I'm sure, either.
No.
Because
No, there's a room on
Yeah.
the 3rd floor. Yeah.
One of the many rooms.
Yes. She's like, would you like to face the sunrise or the sunset?
The honeymoon suite. Yes. That's the best room we have in the house. Though Mark remains adamant that Henry is making it all up, Wallace isn't giving up, suggesting that if Mark moved into Richard's room, it could help. It needs to be lived in. At this point, I'm like, did fucking Henry put like an invisibility spell on Mark?
I know.
That he's the only person who can hear him? Because he has said several times that this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I never said anything. But Susan clams up, not wanting to discuss this very sensitive topic right now. Wallace tells her that they've got to face it. But Susan assures her husband that she does face it every day, and Wallace is the one that's forgetting. Henry just plays with his soup as his mother bursts into tears and steps away from the table. But upstairs, we glide over to the doorway just outside of Richard's room, where Susan sits at the edge of her son's bed, sobbing as she goes through the items that he left behind. But over her shoulder, we see standing in the doorway is Henry, looking literally cartoonishly evil as he spies on his mother. His face suddenly goes neutral when Susan turns around to see him there, and he makes his way inside, comforting his mother as she continues to cry. She reaches for his hand to hold it against her tearful face, and we fade to black. But when we return, we peer through the banister to the first floor at the well-dressed Wallace and Susan, ready for their dinner date. We would not be going out to dinner after that conversation we had at lunch.
The night is ruined.
Mm-mm.
But before they can make their way to the front door, Mark heads them off at the pass, asking if they really need to go out. Wallace says that they do, and they've been planning this for weeks. He assures Mark that they'll have fun here at home, too. It's like, there's so much wrong with this.
Yeah.
He is pleading with you. Do you really have to go?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me like that?
What is
Yeah.
the urgency? Why do you look fucking terrified?
Well, not only that, your nephew, your brother lost a wife and a mom.
Yeah.
Maybe let's sit here. Like you said, the family, it'd be good to be around family.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go get fucked
Gotta
up.
go.
Yeah, you guys hang out.
I would understand if it was something like said, like, it's our anniversary.
Yeah.
Because otherwise
yeah.
it's just like, well, we've been planning a dinner for weeks. Well, you plan a dinner every goddamn day.
Yeah.
You can just have it here.
Yeah, no shit.
But Susan reaches a hand for Mark's shoulder, telling him that the number to the restaurant is right by the phone if he needs them. But she calls out to her children upstairs, offering a good night to them, which only Connie returns. It's funny to me. You're parents, but you don't want to see sight of your children before you go.
Yeah, no.
Like, I'm sure they're up there.
Henry's in charge, dude. Everything's fine.
But Susan kisses Mark on the cheek, promising that they won't be late, before exiting the house with her husband and leaving the children all alone. Connie then leans over the railing upstairs, revealing to her cousin with excitement that they're gonna play hide and seek, and she's hiding first. She rushes off, ignoring Mark's frantic plea from downstairs. No, Connie, wait, I got a better idea. It's very sad. But sneering on the second floor is Henry, who bets that he'll find Connie first. He then opens the small door of the breaker box.
It's too much.
He opens the small door of the breaker box, reaching for the main lever. And from outside, as his parents speed off down the road for the restaurant, we watch as Henry dips the entire Seaside Manor to darkness.
They barely watch.
Yeah.
Give it 5 minutes. We follow a frenzied Mark who races upstairs in search of Connie, the camera following him in shaky shots from room to room as his quest turns up fruitless. But when he tears open the final door at the end of the hall, Henry stands waiting for him, beaming a bright flashlight into his eyes. Mark cries, "No fair!" as he covers his wounded eyes, but Henry just repeats his words antagonistically, asking, "No fair? What do you think this is? A game?" He holds the torch beneath his chin as if telling a campfire tale before shutting it off and disappearing into the dark. Mark's small steps carry him onward, however, in desperate search for his cousin, but we find Connie up on the 3rd floor, attempting to ditch her hiding spot for a better one. But before she can, she's flanked by Henry, the shock of seeing him right behind her inspiring a startled scream. Mark hears this down below, and we peer down a stair hole.
Yeah.
To watch Mark's ascent to the 3rd floor to save Connie from her brother. But when he finds them upstairs, Henry just seems to be tickling his little sister. Connie's screams now turn to boisterous laughter. Connie wants to play again, but Mark puts a stop to it, suggesting that he read her a bedtime story instead. Henry doesn't take too kindly to this, putting his arm around his sister and insisting that Connie doesn't want to hear any stories. But Connie pulls away from him, rising to her feet as she retorts, "I do too, vermin."
She ate with that.
Yeah.
That's fair. She grabs Mark by the hand, leading him downstairs to her bedroom. They leave Henry alone in the dark, the boy twisting his flashlight around while humming Camptown Races to himself. Choice.
Yeah.
But the beam catches nearby pairs of hanging ice skates in its intermittent glow. Foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But downstairs in her room, Mark finishes reading Ludwig Bemelman's Madeline to his younger cousin, Connie slipping into a dream as he closes the book and shuts off her lamp.
I had that book.
I recognized it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your sister was telling me, and then I was like, I know that.
I loved that book.
But as he exits into the hall, he finds Henry there waiting for him, the boy offering sarcastically, "That was a darling story, Mark." He pushes his way past Mark to enter his sister's bedroom, insisting that he just wants to tuck in his kid sister. As the boys stand at Connie's bedside, Henry comments that she's such a sweet little thing, asking Mark if he really thinks he would hurt her. Mark answers honestly, "Yes." And at this, Henry wonders what Mark is going to do. Watch her all night? And Mark attempts to do just that, as we find him the next morning, fast asleep on the floor next to Connie's bed. But when he stirs awake, he rises to find her bed to be empty. He rushes downstairs, where he overhears Wallace and Susan talking in the dining room, the husband telling his wife that she has to stop blaming herself for what happened to Richard. Susan simply can't. She sobs that she left him all alone. She remembers that there was less than 6 inches of water in the tub, and she left him to answer the phone. Wallace reaches for Susan, holding her to him as he assures her that it wasn't her fault, but Susan pulls herself away, wiping her tears and suggesting that her husband better get to work at the hospital. Before he goes, Wallace asks if she wants him to drop Connie off at the Andersons, but Susan doesn't, revealing to her husband that Connie went skating with Henry at Miller's Pond.
No!
Man.
And I will say, the way that the night ended, I expected more. Like, I thought that them being left alone in this house was going to be like a long sequence of kind of mind games between Henry and Mark.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like,
No.
no.
Next
Yeah,
morning.
it's the morning. Yeah.
But the score grows frantic around Mark, who makes a mad dash through the wintry forest for Miller's Pond, discovering it crowded with ice skaters and hockey players.
I was like, at least there's a lot of witnesses.
Yeah.
Seemed helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed.
Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But through the sea of strangers, Mark spies Henry, leading Connie by the hand over to a taped-off area with red warning signs. Mark stumbles skateless across the ice, one hockey player even stopping to ask him, where are your skates? It's like you wouldn't notice
Yeah.
that. But Mark continues onward, desperately calling out to Connie. But Henry begins skating circles around a large area of the ice. And it's definitely Macaulay Culkin and Quinn Culkin doing this.
The cuts are really
Yes. But they pick up speed, and once they reach a proper velocity, Henry pushes Connie forward, sending her sliding beneath the caution tape and onto the thin ice. Crying, Connie pulls herself to her feet, but as soon as she stands upright, the ice begins to crack, splinters carved across its surface until she breaks through, falling fast into the frigid water.
No one saw this?
But him
Yeah.
just fucking throw
He
her?
threw her.
I understand sometimes things happen fast or whatever, but they were spinning in a circle close to the thin ice. They were
Yes.
close enough to where nobody was over there. And then him launching her, somebody would have fucking seen that.
You would think.
Yeah.
But this is when everyone finally takes notice. Mark leading the charge over to the barricade. But Henry climbs beneath it, crawling for the break in the ice as his sister reemerges. He reaches his hand weakly to her as she splashes fearfully, and sometimes in slow motion for some reason. He feigns an attempt to rescue her, but a crowd gathers at the barricade, doing absolutely nothing.
Dad, I'm like, no adult is going to try to help this little girl.
No, and even one random townsperson holds Mark back.
Yeah, why?
It's like none of us are doing anything, okay?
You're making us look bad.
But after thrashing and reaching frantically for her brother's unhelpful hand, Connie sinks beneath the surface of the ice, floating just beyond the break. But finally, two men wielding axes enter the fray, potentially played by Bobby Huber and Mark Stefanich. One is credited as Axeman and the other is credited as Iceman, which doesn't... It's like I thought that was Sean Ashmore, but okay. They crash through the ice, driving the blades of their axes into it as Mark looks on in terror and Henry just rests there casually. They're finally able to break through, retrieving an unconscious Connie from the water and carrying her off to safety. But we follow a frantic Susan through the hospital halls, reaching Connie's room and collapsing into the arms of her husband, who assures her that their daughter is going to be okay and they got her out of the ice just in time. The parents stand at the bedside of their recovering child, Susan putting her arm around Henry, who rests on the bed's railing. But we pull back from the hospital room and into the hall, where Mark leans against the wall, the only witness to what really happened today on the ice. But sometime later, Mark joins Susan at the cliff's edge, where Susan has taken to her solemn peak to gaze out into the water. This series of scenes is very strange to me.
Mm-hmm.
How we are both at the hospital
Yes.
and also at this peak to have this scene. It feels like Milhouse in the Radioactive Man movie where we're just fucking going back and forth because literally I believe it's the next scene that it's as if Susan has not left the hospital at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is very weird to me. But through tears, Susan rejoices that Connie is going to be all right. But Mark can't hold on to what he knows any longer, revealing that there's something that he needs to tell her. He offers that he isn't sure because he wasn't very close, but he doesn't think that what happened at the pond was an accident. I appreciate him qualifying it for her benefit.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely certain.
Yeah.
Susan doesn't understand, but recounting the events of what he saw, Mark has come to the conclusion that Henry threw Connie toward the thin ice. He says that Henry said he hated Connie, which didn't happen.
Yeah.
That was an unseen conversation.
Yeah.
He whispered it when they were going to bed.
That's true. And it is weird to me because he is saying, he's like, look, I wasn't close enough to see exactly what happened, but I'm also going to make this up.
Yeah.
So he's really playing both sides. But Susan just stands confused, wondering what Mark is trying to tell her. He reiterates, I told you. I'm telling you. Connie didn't just slip. He adds that Susan doesn't know what Henry is. He tried to kill Connie, and he could do it again. But rather than entertain Mark's theory, Susan reaches her hand to slap the boy sternly across the face, ordering him to stop it, certain that that's a lie.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Yeah, I don't... What?
I understand you obviously don't want to hear this about your own kid,
Right.
but what a wild reaction.
Yeah, I don't know why he said the lie about him saying he hated her.
So that helps me a lot.
You could have just been like,
Henry probably
look,
did say
he
that.
killed a dog.
Yes.
That-
I can show you.
Yes.
This wasn't an accident. I'm like, he's been doing this. I don't, whatever.
You do have a lot of literal evidence.
Yeah.
It's not as if everything is just hearsay and there's no way to point to anything.
Right.
I remember on Orphan, Esther was fucking that boy's shit up.
Yep.
And he had nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he had nothing. But Mark has quite a bit of stuff to call upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does.
Do you remember that 10-car pilot?
Yes. And I'm sorry, but nobody was like, we also found a dummy.
Yeah.
Found a dummy on the scene. Why is that not anything?
And those
A dummy?
are grown-up clothes. He had to steal them from his dad.
He did.
A dummy at the scene with the mask that he was wearing.
Exactly.
Yes. I forgot the
Come
mask.
on.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, everyone's fine. Let's not make a big deal about it.
That's really-
That's
Well,
really...
one dummy died. That was
Yeah, that was it.
That was the only casualty.
They didn't want to report that part.
Like, it's Christmas time. But Susan pulls Mark into a hug, the boy holding his stinging cheek as Susan reasons that Henry is her son, her little boy, and she loves him. Clutching Mark by the shoulders, she implores him to never come to her with these lies again. She departs the cliff for the forest, leaving Mark all alone on the rock. But back at the hospital, Henry lets himself into Connie's hospital room, standing over his sleeping sister for a moment before a sinister thought seems to find him, and he reaches his hand for a nearby pillow. But this is when his mother switches on a light at the opposite end of the room, forcing him to have a change of heart as he stutters that he didn't see her there. But Susan just shushes her son as to not wake Connie. She sits puzzled, assuming that Henry would be at home with his father. But Henry says that he was just worried about Connie. Susan crosses the room to look at her daughter, resting her hand comfortingly on Henry's shoulders as he asks if Connie has woken up yet, learning that she has, but only for a little while. Susan notes that Connie was a bit confused when she was awake, and that she probably isn't going to remember much about what happened to her. Henry deems this as good. It's probably best for her to just forget the whole thing.
For her.
Yes.
I have there's so many things here. Firstly, I guess it's a good thing that Susan teleported back to the hospital, or else Connie would not be among us anymore. If she would have waited only just a pause from what Mark just told her,
Yeah.
he would have been in smother position in about 0.2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And you got all you need.
You got all
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
How is this child at the hospital by himself? And also, she's like, I thought you'd be home with your dad. Why isn't dad here? You can leave your kids alone to go to dinner, but not to be at the hospital with your daughter?
Well, I would assume that, yeah, that's true. I don't know. Well, what if he is at the hospital working?
No, she said, I thought you'd be home with your dad.
Well, then I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So and then how casually he strolls in. Like, again, this would make more sense if he's like a teenager with a car.
True.
Yeah. Or even a bike, because he's
Anything.
honestly whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's just like, well, I guess I'll be hitting the old dusty trail. It's like, you're a child.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down.
But Susan turns her attention to her son, interrogating, what did happen on the ice? Henry just repeats what he told her previously, that it was an accident. He acknowledges that he's always treated Connie like a bratty kid sister, but he says that until yesterday, he never realized just how much she means to him. Susan understands, but when Henry excuses himself from the room to head home, she... He's like, well, I'm like, what? He's just roaming the countryside like Frankenstein's monster?
He's like, I got work early in the morning. I should probably head in.
But Susan calls out to him for a moment, the boy stopping at the door with a very innocent, "Yes, Mom?" But Susan just tells him, never mind, and that she'll see him at home. Henry asks her to tell Connie that he was here, and Susan promises that she will. But back at home, with barely any time left in the film, Mark finally decides to call his father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. I would have called my parent immediately.
Absolutely.
Immediately. Look, man, my cousin's crazy.
Like,
as
this
fuck.
is really bad.
Right, your brother's son.
Yes.
Like this motherfucker.
Jack asks how his son is doing, but Mark just pleads with him to come back to Maine. He makes his way across the front porch, explaining that it's Henry. He's been doing things. Terrible things. When Jack asks what he's been doing, Mark stays vague for a moment, simply declaring that Henry has everyone fooled, that everyone thinks that he's this great kid, but he's really evil. And it's only when his father asks, "Evil?" that Mark finally spills the tea. He reveals that Henry killed a dog with a weapon that he made that fires steel bolts, and yesterday he tried to kill Connie. Jack attempts to get Mark to slow down, asking if Wallace or Susan is there for him to talk to, but Mark shares that he already tried to tell them and they didn't believe him. Nobody will.
His dad's like, nah, I don't believe in evil.
It's very important for me to share that. But Jack asks about Dr. Davenport, and Mark says that she thinks that he's just some screwed up little kid. But Jack insists that he tell Dr. Davenport exactly what he just told him, and Mark agrees to do so. Jack promises that he'll be back soon, and Mark pleads with him to hurry.
There's no way I received this phone call from my kid.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, let me just wrap up. Give me a few more days. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then why aren't we following back up with your brother?
Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's also weird that, why aren't you calling Dr. Davenport?
Yeah.
Won't it be a lot better coming from an adult, everying that you've just
yes,
heard?
it would.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
look, dude, I'm fucking bogged down.
Yeah, but tell her you have my buy-in.
Right, tell us, Henry, to show you where it's at.
Exactly.
You have my proxy.
But Mark races across town, climbing the steps outside of Alice's home and letting himself inside. But as soon as he makes his way into the living room, he overhears Alice speaking to another patient, and as soon as Mark walks in, she looks up to greet him. But the patient across from her turns to face Mark. It's Henry. He hits Mark with the old Tommy Wiseau. "Oh, hi, Mark."
Oh, man.
I was like, I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
fucking
Yes,
knew he was going to be
yeah.
in here.
Mark seethes. "What are you doing here?" And Alice answers for him, explaining that Henry is here because he wants to help. He says that the two of them have been having some problems. Mark insists that Henry is the problem. He accuses Alice of being on Henry's side, but the therapist defends herself, promising that she's on his side too. But Mark doesn't believe her, claiming that Henry has her fooled, just like everybody else. He races out of the house against Alice's protests, and Henry states shyly that he didn't mean to cause any trouble. Alice assures Henry that it isn't his fault. Mark is just going through some difficult things. Henry asks if Mark is okay, and Alice asks him in return, "What do you mean?" It's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
What is going on?
I don't know. I don't understand how he's responding this way. Very, not even, I wouldn't even say nonchalant, like he just doesn't care. He's just very robotic or very
Yes.
whatever. And it's like, nobody's worried about that. Everybody's just like, Yes, Mark, you're fine.
Yes,
no,
apparently.
Come on, dude.
And again, if you divorce yourself of what we know of Henry, even if you're just this counselor, his family has also suffered a devastating loss. It would make sense if this kid were acting out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why are we just like, Mark, shut the fuck up, dude? Like,
Yeah.
why you have problems? Like, why are we not? You're a counselor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
And
made
this
me
kid
laugh.
is shady as hell.
Yes.
It made me laugh so hard whenever Mark just runs out and she just stays sitting there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like fucking dude's dad from Dead Silence. At least he had a reason. Get up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go.
Go talk to that kid. He can't have gotten far.
Yeah, I'm sure we paid you. Go talk to my kid.
And what happened to... I understand that Henry is family, but what happened to doctor-patient confidentiality?
Yeah.
It's like, he's going through some shit. It's like, hey...
Shut up.
Dude, what?
But Henry claims that he knows he shouldn't say anything. But the way that Mark acts sometimes when they're alone, it scares him. Alice rises from her chair to take a seat next to Henry, asking what it is exactly that Mark does. And Henry steps away from her, begging Alice not to ask him that. He can't tell her. When Alice asks why not, Henry explains that Mark is his friend. Alice just pleads with the boy, promising that he won't be betraying him. She says to just tell her everything. Henry turns his head to look at her, seizing on this last word. Everything? It's like, God damn it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, I felt like that was going to set up for something way larger.
Yeah.
Because literally this scene is the film saying everything that has been going on, we're going to put all of it on Mark.
Yeah.
So it's like, where is that?
And then that's when it would come into play, the way that Mark has been speaking to her about evil and her inferring that he's talking about himself. But yeah, this is just kind of dropped.
Yeah.
Henry's like, did you know they found a dummy at the scene?
Check the dummy prints.
Can you go get Mr. Highway back for me?
Yes. I have more things to do. But we find Mark sitting somberly and solitary at the top of the treehouse, pensive as he overlooks his scenic surroundings. But up from the ladder climbs Henry, snarking that his cousin sure missed an interesting session, adding that he likes therapy. Mark demands to know what Henry told Dr. Davenport, but Henry just apologizes. Sorry, that's strictly confidential. But he warns Mark to stop telling lies about him, because nobody is going to believe them. Mark threatens that sooner or later they're going to find out about him, but Henry just climbs his way up, wondering who Mark is even talking about. His dad? His mom? Mark reveals that he already told Henry's mom, and Henry wonders why in the world she would believe him. She's his mom, not Mark's.
Well, why would Mark even say that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I already tried.
You're right.
All right? I'm fucked. I did it. But this is when Mark insists that Susan is his mother. Henry balks. Your mom? Are you crazy? Your mom's maggot food.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But Mark continues that his mother told him that she'd always be with him and that she chose Susan as a way of coming back. He supposes Henry wouldn't understand that, but assures him that it's true. Susan is his mother now. Mark steps past Henry to slide down a long rope leading him out of the treehouse, which never existed before.
Yeah.
Maybe after the last time, he's like, dude,
Yeah, it
this
was
is
pretty
going to change.
Even Henry's like, well, we got to find a better way.
Well, that was dangerous.
It really was. But before he can depart, Henry calls out, "Hey, Mark." And when his cousin looks up at him, he warns, "Don't fuck with me." Mark slides down, his eyes meeting Henry's glare.
I did laugh because the descent is so slow.
Yes.
It's just like,
We're
oh,
there the
shit.
entire time. And he's maintaining full eye contact.
Yes.
But that night, Mark stirs awake in his bed, glancing over to the other side of the room and discovering Henry's bed to be empty. He races out into the hall, pushing open an adjacent door to find Connie fast asleep in her bed, because I guess she's back home now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what?
But he then creeps down the stairs, the score following his suspicious steps until he reaches the refrigerator in the kitchen. But as he pulls it open, the soft interior light cast onto him, Henry appears behind him like fucking Batman. I don't know how he keeps doing this.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't like it because it's like, oh, so you set a trap for your cousin to come and get it so you could pop up and scare him?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
what? How long did it take? How long were you down there waiting?
He's just checking
Yeah.
the clock on the oven. He's like, damn, he's really sleeping.
Because it was a 50-50 chance.
It
Was he going to get
was.
up and come down here or not?
He might not at all.
Yeah, he might stay asleep.
But Henry snarks. Looking for a midnight snack? He implores him to go ahead, to eat, to drink. Don't let me stop you. Mark demands to know what he did, and Henry understands. Mark thinks he put something in his family's food. He asks, Mark, come on. Do you really think I do a thing like that? Firstly, yes.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, the level of escalation, I don't know. I understand that Mark is trying to protect everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But in realistically, do you really think that he's ready to kill his entire family now?
He has already alluded to killing his brother.
Yes.
I saw you try to kill your sister.
But he needs the parents. What is he going to do?
Go fuck around with another family. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. Or go home with Mark.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Man, that would be a dark ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that'd be a different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we cut abruptly to Henry, pushing the door open to his parents' bedroom, waking them up and telling them that they better come quick. It's Mark. Susan and Wallace rush out of their bed and find Mark in the kitchen, all of the items from the refrigerator surrounding him on the counter, the boy a frenzied mess as he jams each and every one of the items into the whirring garbage disposal. Susan rushes for Mark, switching off the appliance and pulling him away and into her embrace. She pleads with him to stop, but Mark cries that she doesn't understand. Henry is trying to poison them. But he finally submits, falling limply into her arms as Wallace stands dumbstruck, with Henry right behind him, peering past his father at Mark. Mark is forced into Richard's room upstairs by Wallace, his uncle informing him that they'll talk about this in the morning. But Mark doesn't see the point. Nobody believes him. Wallace can't seem to find the words, simply bidding Mark goodnight and exiting the room. But the camera settles into a Dutch angle on Mark because his world has gone mad. I was like, all right, calm down. But what is this?
It's
don't
wild
know.
because
I don't.
he goes, Mark. Like
And
he was
then
going to talk to
he
him and then he
was.
goes, good night.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is happening here?
Why, again, this is tragic what happened to him. And,
Yes.
and maybe, yeah, if he's acting out, I get it. But this seems more, it's not acting out. I feel like this is, look, he's going to poison you guys.
Yes.
Look, okay, hold on. Stop what you're doing. Who's poisoning us? What's happening? Why are you,
Why would you say that? What makes you say that?
It's just, something's wrong with him. He needs to fuck off and we need to put him somewhere else and not listen to him.
No,
Why?
it's infuriating. And I know it's supposed to be like, he can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah,
And it is to an extent, but beyond that, it's like, wow, this is kind of getting annoying.
Yeah.
Because shit does keep happening. And Mark, he didn't come here like this.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not as though he were troubled or like they caught him shooting the thing at the cat or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Like there is no history that would make you immediately disbelieve Mark. I understand like that's your son and you want to believe him, but it's like, and then the dad's just like, well, I'm sure Mark will figure it out. I gotta get back to work. It's like we never hear from him. It's not, oh, your dad called earlier. I know you've been saying a lot of things about Henry, but you know what? It's no, we just never hear. It's like these things all happen in a vacuum and they don't connect throughout the film. It's very frustrating.
It is.
But outside in the hall, Wallace comforts a worried Susan, assuring her that Mark is okay. He reminds her that Jack will be here in just a few days, instructing her to just keep it together until he gets here. And why has Jack not called back to talk to Wallace and Susan?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I
would be checking back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every fucking chance I got.
Or
He's
at least check in with Mark and see how it went with Dr. Davenport.
Yeah.
I was going to say, make an appointment with your counselor.
Yeah.
You figure this out, little child of mine. Like, I just don't get it.
Like, I'm having a great time in Tokyo. But as they return to their bedroom, Henry stands smirking from his doorway in the shadows of the hall. Susan turns to see him there, looking evil as all hell, ordering him to go back to bed. Henry's eyes never leave her as he slithers back into his bedroom. And maybe, just maybe, something finally registers with Susan.
Slither is so accurate.
Well, come on.
He's like, hello, mother dear. It's terrifying. That's the other thing that's really strange to me. You've never seen him exhibit any kind of behavior like this?
It's that.
It just suddenly, because Mark is here, this is how he's acting now?
Yeah.
But it's not weird to you to see something like that?
I know.
The following morning, Susan makes her way through the slat in the fence to approach Henry's shed. She lets herself inside, pushing past a doll in a dress who is hanging by an actual noose at the center of the room, to instead investigate the contents of a desk at the far wall.
That was concerning enough.
One would think, yeah.
And she's just like, get out of the way, doll.
She did.
She finds nothing of note there, but as she continues her exploration, jostling a homemade mask that hangs on the opposite wall, something tumbles out of its hiding place and onto the floorboards. A rubber duck. The score grows tense as Susan kneels to pick it up, recognizing it, and fighting back the tears.
My first thought is that's a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's his blood slides.
Yes.
I did want to say there was a moment in the score here that reminded me a lot of Psycho.
Okay.
It's like pulsing in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
I wanted to look it up, and I saw the composer is a guy called Elmer Bernstein, and he has scored a lot of amazing films.
Mm-hmm.
An American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
He scored Heavy Metal.
Hey.
He scored Airplane.
What the hell?
And he scored like 3 or 4 Scorsese films.
All right.
Hell yeah.
So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
All right.
And Ghostbusters, I forgot.
There you go. Oh, even better.
But just then, the shed door opens and in walks Henry, carrying a few wooden planks, surprised to see his mother in his shed. He asks her what she's doing, and Susan stands, stuttering that she was just looking around. As Henry tends to whatever frightening and most likely escalating scheme he's cooking up, Susan asks him that if there was something wrong, he would tell her, right? Henry isn't sure what she means, and she explains that sometimes, when you're a kid, you do things that you feel bad about. Henry just answers that he doesn't feel bad about anything.
I believe him.
I do, and that's a problem enough.
Yeah.
Susan just nods, collecting herself and finding the courage to present what she found among her son's belongings. Henry's eyes narrow at the sight of the rubber duck, and he asks her where she got it, despite the fact that he already knows. Susan reminds him that she couldn't find it after Richard's accident, and Henry had it all this time? Henry intones, "It was mine before it was his." Susan reiterates that he knew she was looking for it, asking how he got it. But Henry just looks away for a moment before explaining himself. He apologizes, claiming that he took it because he wanted something to remember Richard by. But he reaches for it, asking if he can have it back. When Susan refuses, he asserts that it's his. And when Susan doesn't budge, Henry charges for her, and to her startled surprise, he wrenches it out of her hands as he growls, "Give it to me! It's mine!" He bursts out of the shed, racing through the yard and past the tombstones in the cemetery to reach the well. After a moment of hesitation, he tosses it inside, where it lands with a small plop. We then cut to Susan, who now stands on the peak of the cliff, overlooking the water.
Yeah.
Again, her teleportation abilities are really under referenced in the film.
It's impressive.
Like, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
But back at home, Henry stands in front of a mirror, tears staining his cheeks, which really surprised me.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
But Mark enters the room behind him, asking what he's doing. Henry explains that he's missing someone, and he asks, "Mark, did you cry at your mother's funeral?" Mark wonders why he wants to know, but Henry just wipes the tears away, answering that he assumes that you're supposed to cry at your mother's funeral, but he doesn't know. Mark's eyes widen as he breathes. "You wouldn't." But Henry just snatches a small wooden airplane, asking if Mark really thinks that he would hurt his own. But then Henry remembers, that's right, Susan isn't his mother anymore. She's Mark's. Isn't that what he said? Mark knows that he did, but Henry supposes, your mom, my mom, what the hell? We'll both miss her. I just want to say that Henry is doing the dice move too much when he's like, you really think that I would?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, dude.
Yeah. We know you would.
We do.
Yes.
Mark threatens that he'll kill Henry before he could hurt Susan, and Henry just smirks, admonishing his cousin as so violent, so disturbed. He warns that if Mark doesn't watch out, they're going to lock him up. He tosses the plane over to Mark, but Mark sets his sights on another item, a shining pair of scissors that rests on a nearby dresser. He seizes them, charging for Henry and wrestling him to the bed. He sticks their sharp point at his throat, seething that he could kill him right now. And Henry implores him to do so, but he cautions. Gotta push pretty hard, though. The blood'll go right across the room. He goads him to come on. And it's right here, at the worst possible time, that Wallace enters the room. It makes me laugh because, hey, Henry, have you seen my...
But it's like the one time you're being proactive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But he stands startled by the sight before him, Henry crying out to his father for help, and Mark rushing to his feet and off of his cousin. Wallace seizes his nephew, the scissors clattering to the floor as he demands to know what the hell he thinks he's doing. Henry pleads with his father to go easy on Mark, as he's not really himself right now. But Wallace just clenches his hand around Mark's shoulder, leading him out of the bedroom and scolding that he really could have hurt Henry. But Mark fumes. He's the one who wants to hurt people. But Mark is forced down the stairs, with Henry calling out, Mark, I'm sorry you don't want to be friends. Fuck you. It's...
How do you not hear that and then be like, Mark,
wait,
stop.
what? Yeah.
What the fuck did you just say,
Yeah.
Henry? Get over here.
I'm sorry, Mark. Like, at this point, maybe just let him do it.
Yeah.
God.
Take the little girl with you.
Yeah.
And you guys take off. Your dad is like on his way or something.
I think, yeah. But as they make their way down the steps, Mark quavers that Henry is going to do something, that he's going to kill her. Wallace somehow remains level-headed, suggesting that they just call Dr. Davenport and have a talk. He pleads with Mark to calm down, though, in the meantime. But when Mark grows unruly, Wallace just scoops him up, carrying him into his office and locking the door behind him, telling the boy that he'll stay in there until he's ready to talk. We watch Mark from above, crying out for his uncle and pacing around the room like a rat in a cage.
What do you mean when you're ready to talk? You're not listening to me anyway.
I am talking.
I've told you everything.
Yeah.
But outside, Susan pulls up in her van, relief washing over Mark at the very sight of her through the window. But fear grabs hold of him when he sees Henry walk outside to meet her. He joins her excitedly, sharing that he decided to clean out the shed, but Susan stifles his spark, sternly telling him that they need to talk. Henry accepts this, but as he grabs hold of her hand, he asks if they can go for a walk together. You know, like they did when he was little. Mark watches from the window, banging frantically against the glass for Susan's attention as the score rises tensely around him. But Susan is none the wiser, grasping hands with her son and joining him for a walk past the stone wall. But Mark has seen enough, grabbing a chair and using it to shatter the glass of the window. But before he can climb out, Wallace reaches for him, wrapping his arms around him and warning, "Mark, watch the glass." You just saw him break it.
Yeah.
And when the hell did you even go in there? Because he was not in there.
He wasn't in. Wallace is flanked by Alice, but somehow Mark is able to wriggle away from his uncle and breeze right past the both of them, making a beeline for the front door to rescue Susan. And we never see Wallace or Alice again.
Yeah.
Which really surprised me.
They're like, he'll figure it out.
I guess.
But on their walk through the wintry trees, Susan asks her son to tell her exactly where he was on the night that Richard died. Henry tells her that she already knows that he was downstairs playing, but Susan kneels to his level, demanding for him not to lie to her. Staring right into his eyes, she implores him, "Now you tell me, did you kill Richard?" Henry calmly asks, "What if I did?"
God damn.
Look, I'm all for gentle parenting. As soon as I heard that, the hand her on the neck. It's Homer Simpson.
I was gonna
say
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Not the
no.
Homer
no.
Simpson.
Well, you don't fully choke him. It's into the choke slam. And then, like, you're okay, right? All right.
No, this is fucking awful.
Yeah.
Susan's shuddering breaths rise from her lips in the cold as she answers that they'd get him help. But Henry suggests that his mother doesn't look so good. It honestly looks like she needs the help. Susan just begs for her son to trust her, but Henry backs away from her, certain that he can't. He accuses Susan of just wanting to send him away to one of those places. He takes off running through the forest, crying out that he'd rather be dead. Susan chases after him, somehow losing him through the trees as she makes her way to the cliff's edge. She peers over it, down to the distant rocks below, relieved when she doesn't see her son there. But Henry calls out from behind, "Looking for me?" This little asshole.
Enough out of you, dude.
Susan sighs her son's name, but he asks, "You really thought I was gonna jump?"
Wow.
And he adds, "I guess you don't know me very well, Mom." He charges for her with ire in his eyes, knocking her down and sending her tumbling off the face of the rock. Susan is saved from the fall by a sturdy branch and also her safety wire, which is on full display for the entire shot.
Yes.
She grabs it.
John Paul and I were laughing.
I was like, wow.
I kind of love it, though. I'm not going to
Yeah, I don't mind stuff like that.
It's
but
funny.
I think her grabbing
It's
it
so
twice, I
funny.
was like, oh.
It's like, why didn't you cut?
Yeah.
She calls out to her son, who stands above her on the cliff's edge, Henry answering, "Yes, Mom," as he raises a sizable stone above his head. She begs him not to do it, but from the trees, Mark arrives in a blur, emitting a battle cry as he tackles Henry to the ground. The pair wrestle, and the score grows percussive, which was a choice.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But as the pair tussle, Henry getting the upper hand and straight up strangling Mark, Susan is able to scale the rock, climbing her way back up to the top. But just as she reaches for them, Mark and Henry tumble over the edge, Susan barely able to reach out her arms to both of them, saving them from certain death with her tenuous hold on their hands.
See, here is one, because again, Henry did break the window and then take off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He got away from him. So here, when she catches him, I'm like, damn, there's a lot of time has passed. Not the dad or Dr. Alice. Or, none of them have come.
You think they'll show up and they just don't.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, this lady's core strength must be fucking insane because these boys would have pulled me right the fuck out.
Yeah, all three of us
Now
were
we're all
dying.
dead.
Yeah.
What a terrible turn of events.
Yeah.
But the camera circles around them, highlighting the frightening fall that awaits them and the jagged rocks that will catch them if Susan loses her grip. She begs for them to hang on, and as Mark begins to slip, Henry tells his mother that he loves her and that he needs her other hand to help him up. Susan looks back and forth at the boys as Mark continues to slip further, merely holding on to her thumb, which that's dislocated.
Yeah, I guess.
And Mark is gone. But Susan's desperate glances weigh the choice before her, her eyes turning from Mark's fearful face to the stoic stare of her son, sobbing his name, Henry, before she lets him go. We watch as Henry falls from a great height, his scream echoing against the cliffs and out onto the water as Susan reaches both hands to pull Mark to safety. They peer down at the rubble of Henry's body, which lies dashed against the blood-stained rocks below, the waves crashing over him and washing him into the ocean.
I could not fucking believe my eyes.
No,
Yeah.
I thought him falling was going to be enough.
Well, see,
And it wasn't.
It was.
It was enough.
I remember this.
Okay.
The visual.
I imagine you would.
I did not. So this was a very big shock watching it and then seeing it, and I was like, oh, wow.
John Paul was in here when I was watching it. He had watched it already, and I paused it and said, holy shit. He's like, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. It's like they wanted us to have no doubt.
No.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like, he's not a slasher
yeah,
villain.
It's over.
But the camera pulls back, Susan holding Mark close to her as the score swells sweetly. So I just want to talk about this sequence very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of this film was shot in New England, but this cliff was actually in Palisade Head, Minnesota at Tetagoosh State Park.
Okay.
I read an interview with the stunt coordinator, Jack Gill, and he had said that whenever he was first contacted about working on the film, Joseph Ruben, the director, told him from jump that he wanted these kids to hang off of a cliff for
Shut
real.
the fuck up.
So Gil was like, okay, well then what we'll do is we'll have, like a cliff facade, and then we'll have like padding underneath it, and we can make it work. And Ruben's like, no, I want them hanging off a 185-foot cliff above water. Gil is like, okay, there are stunt workers who are younger that maybe have been taught by their parents and they can handle stunts like this. Ruben's like, no.
What the hell, dude?
I know.
He said we need close-ups for the entirety of this sequence. So Gil's like, okay. And he trains Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin at a firehouse in Gloucester, Massachusetts with a descender cable showing them that they are safe to hold on, they can't fall, they're attached, everything's fine. He said that, of course, today, no studio would ever allow this.
No, nor should they.
No.
But every single thing that you see in this film, at this sequence, they had built a rock a little bit wider for all of them to be on, all three of the actors, to give them space, but to also allow room for the safety rigs.
Right.
But they did it for real. This is never within a studio. There is never a green screen or a stage. Elijah Wood, Macaulay Culkin, and Wendy Crewson are on this rock for real.
I am appalled.
Yeah.
Unless like the water below is played by one of the Culkins and they're just going to catch them if they fall. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fucking dangerous.
And
like what?
I understand your want,
Right.
but is it worth it? No.
No.
And
no.
we've talked about this before, about the importance of film and a vision, but the bottom line is the safety. We've talked about things going horrifically wrong before. And it's like, dude, is it worth it for you to get that close up for one of these boys to fall?
It's that.
Because that could happen.
Yeah. Adults, I get it. It's still dangerous, but we're adults. We understand.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry,
Put these
what
kids in that
position. Parent is like, yeah, cool.
Well, here's the other thing.
Oh, God.
Macaulay Culkin, that fall that you see,
that parent.
That was him. And he fell the 30 feet on a descending cable, but they had to get Kit Culkin to sign off on it. Macaulay Culkin said that the only way that he would do it is if the production bought him a BB gun as a gift to do it. And so they're like, yeah, sure, we'll buy you a BB gun. And he did it.
That is a child's... I'm getting pissed off.
It's wild.
It's almost like he likes to work around antique machinery.
Yes.
Loves it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I saw this interview with Elijah Wood where he was talking about it. I think it was in like the 2020s.
Yeah.
And he said, so yeah, the fear that you see on my face, that's
bet.
not acting.
Yeah, I bet.
Unbelievable. But we then return to the first shot of the film, realizing that it's Mark standing alone at the center of the red rock formations. We hear him explaining in voiceover that Henry is gone and the rest of them are safe. But he admits that sometimes, late at night, he finds himself thinking, not about Henry, but about Susan, and wondering, if she had to do it over, would she make the same choice? And as the camera pulls back, Mark supposes he'll always wonder, but he knows he'll never ask.
What the fuck kind of a question is that?
I don't know.
I honestly was like, this is how we're ending the film?
And that's it.
No reunion with Jack. No like,
closure
anything.
for this family.
No. And you've just moved back to whatever state you're in?
Yeah.
All right.
We fade to black. And the credits roll. So, what did you guys think of The Good Son?
So I will be honest. I did find, like I said, I do find enjoyment in this movie. I did see it the one time in the theater or whatever, but I do remember stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of what doesn't work for me is, I mean, it just happens through the whole thing. It's the story, the fast, the adults, nobody's listening to him. That ending was wild. I did not expect to see him on the rock.
No.
Genuinely, I did not remember that. I didn't expect that. What a goddamn fantastic actor Elisha Wood is.
Yes.
The age, and he's still fucking just putting on a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
I love Macaulay. I just don't think that it was good to have him side by side doing that. It was an experience because there's a lot that goes on. Again, there's a lot of heavy things going on in the movie. But I think for me, they're kind of overshadowed by the bad decisions made in the movie. You know what I mean? Like just them. Nobody gives a shit what Henry's doing.
Yeah.
Mark, you're troubled. We've got to blame things on you. I thought that I just had a loss. I need help. I need my family. You guys were supposed to keep me here to take my mind off things and whatever, but you're just blaming me for a bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't understand. So I did find some new frustration for the movie, but I mean it's The Good Son, I guess,
mm-hmm.
which I still kind of feel like that was, I don't know, a bit of a missed opportunity to do that. Maybe a play on the title.
Mm-hmm. It would be interesting.
Yeah,
like I think was it Reneé that presented an idea that kind of made it make a little more sense.
Yeah. That's not the movie though.
No. It's not.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's interesting because I wouldn't say like this is a bad movie.
No.
It's just there are so many decisions made that I don't understand why they were made.
Yeah.
And you saying, T, that a bunch of stuff was chopped up, I think that has to be the culprit. It has to be. We opened so many things. I think that Mark with this thing of seeing his mother in Susan. That could have been an interesting moment where when she chooses to save him instead of Henry, we see her for a second, or Mark looks up and sees her, or she says something that maybe the mother said in the hospital bed. Like there are numerous opportunities to connect this thing that Mark is experiencing and ground it in any way for the audience. And I feel like it is never taken. The adults in this are just extremely frustrating. There are so many moments where it is just nonsensical why this kid keeps getting away with what he's doing, and there is no question mark over him. There's no, Mark is very concerned. As his father, I'm going to check with my brother and see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like we're bending over backwards to facilitate a scenario where this thing can just continue without objection.
Right.
And it gets to the point, the first couple things that he does, it's like, okay, sure. But toward the end of the movie, it's like, all right, dude, like this is getting annoying.
Yeah.
We never see Connie awake again.
No.
After what happens, we never see the uncle and the doctor once he flees the house. We never see the father again once he leaves at the very beginning of the movie. It's just so many things where I think that everything that we've been through with Mark, some closure would be nice instead of finding him the same way that we found him at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Asking this insane fucking question and being like, well, all right, keep your secret. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna ask this bitch that. Like, that's crazy.
Middle Earth is safe.
Yeah, very good.
But you know what I mean? It's just so many choices that leave me scratching my head. And I think the idea here is so cool. I think that they have an incredible little actor in Elijah Wood at this time. I think that they could have done so many things, and even kind of like exploiting the audience's baked in love for Macaulay Culkin and turning that on its head. I think that we had the opportunity to do so many really, really cool things. And what we get is just at times kind of maddening. But as you said, the performance is really good from Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
I think that the dynamic between him and Macaulay Culkin is interesting because they do carry this film.
Oh, yeah.
The adults do. I mean, they're fine, but they do very little.
Right.
The pacing is breakneck speed. This movie is so short and it fucking flies by. And I think it would have been better suited to let these situations build on themselves.
Yes.
The music was good, if not a bit misplaced at times.
Yeah, it could be.
And apparently these kids are fucking excellent, unfortunately, stunt performers.
Yeah.
Which was a fucking bummer to find out. But yeah, this one missed the mark for me, and I think that I think that it wouldn't be so upsetting if I didn't think that there is at its core a really fucking cool story here.
Yeah.
That the execution, it just misses the mark for me.
I think that's the thing, is that the skeleton here is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's honestly such a really cool way to go. When you think you're given the prompt of an evil child, you immediately go, okay, well, he's the devil's son or something, you know?
Yeah.
You make it something supernatural or whatever, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
We have an idea where this kid is basically a burgeoning psychopath.
Yeah.
And we are following his escalation as he kind of indulges.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And then you have this poor kid in Mark who is so relatable. You have so much sympathy for. And I think that's the thing. That is one style of horror that really does scare the shit out of me, where you do take one person and you kind of isolate them from their entire support system. Nobody believes it. Like Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
Where you feel this person is all alone against all of this.
Right.
And that is really, really frightening to consider.
And for it to be a kid.
Yes, which only makes it worse.
Yeah.
You are told to go to adults and the adults are doing nothing.
They're failing you. Yeah.
But it's these little things that just continue to add up. I feel like I like the way that things go between Mark and Henry, their interactions, the way that Henry is really doing some really unsettling shit.
Yeah.
I think that there are some sequences that are very well done, well paced. The stunt work, unfortunately, with these kids, but also with everything else, the stuff with the Mr. Highway sequence, all of that, I think that it's very well done. I don't understand what's going on with any of these adult characters.
Yeah.
And I feel like you had said earlier, maybe when you're a kid, you don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
You're watching this and you're the kids.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. But watching it as, how old am I?
No.
34?
Yeah.
Watching it as a 34-year-old man, you're like, where the fuck are the parents?
Yeah.
Why hasn't Jack called his son more than once? Like, there's so many weird things going on, and then everything that he just told you, you don't want to check with your brother about that?
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's so weird, and it does. You feel this breakneck speed where it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
This film allowed to have a slow burn, what could have happened?
Yeah.
How good could that have felt?
Well, it's like you were saying and you had said, babe, and it made me think, and you were right, and that's something that I did mean to say. The masks were cool. Went nowhere.
Yeah.
The counselor, again, we could have had something there. Anything, you not believing Mark, but believing Henry, or not believing Henry and whatever. We got this troubled kid. Maybe Mark can help him. Maybe we can whatever. He's got a brother now, or like a brother, and we can whatever. That's how the good son fits in. They're like brothers or whatever. It's just like there are these, like you said, when he comes downstairs and sees her and thinks it's his mom. Give us that then if you're going to do it, or have them look similar, or them be sisters like you said, T. Anything.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff there that we do go so fast. All those ideas that could have spawned something else or been broken off of that and been like, look, let's play from here and then make things tense or make it whatever. And then they just don't.
And you have all these things that you are absolutely framing Mark.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't go anywhere.
No.
I don't understand. I just don't understand the entire scene, like you're saying, with Alice. Why have Henry even have a fucking appointment? Like, why is he even there?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to the story or the narrative.
No.
It's just one moment that we get where Mark is once again put upon and in a fucking terrible position. I don't know. It's so weird. I really want to read Ian McEwan's original screenplay.
Yes.
Something I will tell you, I did read that in the novelization of the film, it doesn't end the same way that the film does.
Oh.
And after everything that transpires on the cliff, they flash forward a year later, and Mark returns to visit Wallace and Susan and Connie. And they go and they visit Henry's grave. And the grave includes the epitaph, "Without darkness, there can be no light." Which I was like, I get it, but damn.
Yeah.
On
They're
his
like,
grave?
he served his purpose.
He's shown us what life's really about.
Wow.
But it's one of those things where it's like, that might not be perfect, but at least there is some finality and closure.
Some closure,
Right.
yeah.
We never see Mark with his father again.
No.
Yeah.
Why? Why not?
Yeah.
And I think that starting the film with him looking so small in this like cavernous, like cliffside area, you could have ended it with him close with his father.
Yeah.
Or him like where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, he started the film so, like you said, isolated and alone, and now at least he's home. And his dad's like, I never have to leave you again if I do this, and now he's not leaving him.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, we also, our parting shot with him
Is
him alone
And
and small.
I swear to God, it's the same shot that they use at the beginning.
Yeah.
It would be, you're right, it would be way cooler if you have that exact same shot, only Jack is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have changed everything. They didn't do that.
They
No,
they did not do that.
But I don't know. This one's kind of difficult to rate for me. I got to be honest, I have had a lot of fun talking about it.
Yeah, way more fun than I expected.
But I think that for me, I mean, it's unfortunately just okay for me when I think it really could have been great.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough about Elijah Wood. I can't say enough about the cinematography, the scenic shots that we get in this film.
Yeah.
Even as dangerous as some of them are, I think that it really is a beautiful looking film.
Yeah.
I just really, really would prefer that the story rises to that level of those other things.
Right.
The technical sides. But for me, out of 10 startlingly sinister sons, I am going to give The Good Son 5.5. 6. Startlingly sinister sons out of 10. I was going to give it a 5.5 as you heard. But I feel
We
like
did, yes.
I feel like honestly, I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
There are things that I would absolutely change and things that I want way more of.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are some pretty good moments here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame that we rush through it so quickly.
Yeah.
But I will now open the floor to you.
No, yeah, I like we always say, we don't want to repeat ourselves or go in a circle, but it is just all those small things. The adults, they suck. You know what I mean? Again, we have. They
do.
Straight up, yeah.
We have all these cool things. The mask, the mom being recognized as something that she's not. The well, even that. Him having this fucking shed that's got all his tools in there or whatever. Like, there are these things we can go with. Maybe he spends time in anything. We can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't. We see these cool things and they're just used to get us to a different part of this movie, just to move us along. Again, like you said, the dad, he's gone quick. The uncle, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Is that even his nephew? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. But I mean, it is that. I think that's what does make it hard. Yeah, I did watch it, like I said before, when I was young the one time, but it did stick with me, so I did remember things from the movie. Saying that I can't be like, I didn't like this,
Yeah.
because I did. Even watching it for the show, I was like, this, I do still get enjoyment out of this. And it's not bad. You're right. It's not a bad movie. I'm just confused at the choices that they made.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest watching it. I would say watch it. You know what I mean? Again, everybody likes stuff that's different. We don't all have the same taste.
Mm-hmm. I
could see how you would like this movie. It's a fast, quick, get in, let's do this. Don't look at it too hard in the story, and it's over. I would have enjoyed, like you said, T more. I would have probably liked an extra 20 minutes, if that.
Totally
you know what I mean?
agree. Yeah.
Give us a little more. I would have loved the mask.
Yes.
If he would have used the mask as a way to, when this is on, I'm bad.
It's a
Henry.
different person. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because then he could be sweet around people. He could be a normal little kid around people instead of just being all the time like, well, what are you gonna do, Henry? Are you gonna tell on me?
Yeah.
What? Like,
Mark.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or Mark. Yeah. What?
You really think that
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just.
I think that would have worked better too if there was another side to him, because he is like this all the
Yeah.
He is. And he's always skulking in the shadows.
Yeah. And
looking like, what?
I can't remember which one of y'all said that, but it is that. You can't tell me that he wasn't like this before this dude showed up. You know what I mean? Mark got here and then he started acting a fool. No, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Just like night and day.
Yeah. But I did get a little enjoyment out of it. Again. So for me, on a scale from 1 to 10, startling sinister sons, I'm going to give The Good Son a 6.5. It does look really good.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I did get a little enjoyment out of it. But the adults just were annoying. It's one of those things to where he just needs to be able to do whatever he needs to do until he gets his. And then it's like, oh, that was it? He was just running wild the whole movie and nobody did anything about it until the end?
Yeah. I'll be very brief. I think I've said throughout different ways that the story could have gone that would have worked better for me. Again, I wish it was longer. I would love if we had more time to marinate and slowly escalate instead of we meet this dog and then the next day we're killing the dog and dumping it in a well.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, even if this is Henry, obviously he acted out. He did something fucking horrible with his brother.
Yeah.
If like he was trying to repress it, and then with Mark here, he's just letting it run wild. Like, I would have liked to see him slowly becoming that, whatever, but we just don't get that.
And isn't it a little wild as well? We're talking about escalation. He started with murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a little odd too.
It is. I think that there's just a lot left to be desired, but that doesn't mean that, as I said before, that this is a bad film, because it's not. Although, I will say, as far as, something with production, is anybody else kind of astonished that they let these two little boys dangle from a fucking cliff, but they heated the rock wall so that the cat's feet were warm?
Well, there's different rules.
Yeah.
I'm like, good on you on one point, but not on the other, you know? I don't know. I think that my just distaste and anger and frustration with the adults in this film is what keeps me from taking it to that full 6.5.
Yeah.
Because I was torn between the two, but I'm like, dude, one realistically written adult would have changed this entire movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, startlingly sinister sons, I have to give The Good Son a 6 out of 10. This is not a bad film. It's not even like a so bad it's good film. There's so much here that just could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The decent son.
The all right son.
Yeah.
He's all right. Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate The Good Son, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Instagram at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like our Stairhole Productions page on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Instagram and Blue Sky at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at Juggalo Daddy 84. Thanks again to Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Please consider pledging to our Patreon, where you'll gain access to over 250 hours of bonus content, our monthly schedule, our Discord server, and the opportunity to help us decide which films to cover. And if you're looking for Pod Mortem and Stairhole Productions merch, follow the link in our episode notes. Stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, a nefarious soul can only hide their true intentions for so long. Sooner or later, the mask will begin to slip. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo! Yeah.
Great work. A special thank you to
Chris Santaveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Lala Thomas, Travis Anissa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Kimberly Kleindienst, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rezak, Molly Gerhard, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Berry, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Eden, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexis Roberts, Itzy M, Gary Horton, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter, Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Livy Fun, Scott Troutman Wise, Mozzie Bear, Dave Burke, Emma Hagel Kissinger, Valerie G, Emiliana, CB, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Cookie, Esperanza J, Jason Cow OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Sawyer Reese Farr, Zahara, Girl That's Scary, Cassandra, Andrea Simmons, Ashley Hagetta, William and Xxena Rush, Ryan Brom, Megan Ochoa, Laura Lassiter, Eileen O, Marissa E, Henry F, Megan M, Strangely Sarah, Christy Beck, Nancy and Andy, Amanda Lopez, Andy Terrell, Erica Morin, Tris Wynn, K.87.
Mariah Jensen, Carrie A, Lonnie Lono, Powell, Kayla E, Maggie H, Murder Stina, Kristen Marcy, Ori81 Boricua, Look Like That One Girl, Bog Boy, Felnez63, Alita Pui, Probably My Jugs, Kate Thackeray, Wade Pack, A Lizard, Bay J, Jay Rich, Topher Williams, Elena Metler, Valerie K, Christy Lee Kruger, Professor of Humanities Laura McCarricker, Naomi, Josh Smith, Autumn Green, Abby Kopp, Crystal 831, Skank Sinatra, Morgan Alexander, Tony Osteen, Julie Fredborg, Rihanna S., Daniel Taylor, Anna Kate, Heather Ortiz, Kim H., August, Jenny May, Old School Cool, Malik Caselli Armstrong, Scarly D, Toya Shea, Katie, Martin Shaw, Star, Tyler J., Cam Davies, Patrick Hoagland, Raven, Wesley Tart, Kristen Jackson, Jacob Nordberg, Samantha, Damian Grant, Half Price Horror, Clemmy, Nisi Nay, Jason X Rules, Aaron Norman, Victoria Smith, Patricia A. Graham, Erasmo Pena, Danielle Wright, Chuck D., Tabitha Thomas, Connie Lingus, Richard Murray, Irene, Sally Slater 52, Jordan McCarthy, Rosalind Harnius, Emily Rance, Amy, Lisa and Kathy, Mike H., Christian Sadler, Hannah, Sarah Jack, Casey L., Evelyn Knight, Paula Garcia, Nikki M., Ghastly Grandad, Megan and Alexandra Saldivar, Lisa Sykes, Kelsey Niemeyer Cook,
Martina LaForce, JG, Morgan Novello, Ashley, Alex M., Brandon C., Gordon Sutherland, Georgia Renland, Ashley Poe, Diana Joe, Connor Gormley, Carrie Parker, Katie Face, Jane Pillsbury, Caitlin Asher, Mia Franz, Pooh Bear, Spicy Caldera, This is the Zodiac Speaking, Jason the Ghost, Moldy Tic Tac, Brian Ward, Tanner Rutgers, Gremlin Keeper 22, Sam Spade 666, Veronica, Kristen Rhodes, Daniel Laurent, Carmito, TVR, A Very Sweepy Baby, Nicholas Rage, A Lazy Boy, Nicola Williams, Sadison Miles, Stu Corbett, Brick O, Jada Nicole, Lost Fan 08, George L. Robertson, Mercedes X Bleeple, Joel Miller Apologist, Jaylene Perry, Cool Trainer Elijah, Mrs. Bloomingdale, Sierra Duncan, Renee Hart, Meg Like Sleep, Final Boy, Alani, Nosferatu Dude, Elizabeth Thompson, Joey, Michelle Nicole, The Lipstick Demon, Less Than Zombie, Franklin Badge, Sean Reeves, The Kryptonian Orphan, Melissa B., Elena C., Jillian Munford, Evil Chris, Rex Term Raoul, Witchy Poop 19, Brian Avers, Danielle Milton, Instant Horror, Just Give Me One Wish Like Ray J, Skin Deep, Christian Salvatierra, Ashay Guevara, Aaron Mr. Clean Bouchard, Henny Kravitz, Francisco Olmos, Paunchy Cat, Christina Perez, Buddy Boy Mac, Revamped a Rewatch Podcast, Sarah Coolidge, Show Livia, Film Fiend, Catherine Clark, Moonfire, Brandon Brown, Jessica Hernandez, Camry, Amy Shipley, Like the Donuts, and Jack. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
We appreciate each and every one of you, and we just want to thank you for fucking with us.
Ah, yeah.
I know we said not to, but
Well, now we can slide down the rope and maintain full. Maintain. I'm done.
We're tired. Until next time.